Hi, friends. Long time no see. How is everyone out there? Another fun night, a fun mini, always different when I'm partaking. I've never actually hosted one of these that I was in. So this will be interesting. My notes are not nearly as well thought out as they typically are. So we are going to piece together the puzzle as a group. I hope everyone out there as well. Let us bring in our lovely panel. The best mini of all time, according to my intro video, which I'm going to stick with. I think it was well received. Christian, Sindri, Rachel, James, Van, Keith, Vivian, Justin, and Amanda. Hello, hello. Welcome to Podquester. Sindri, congratulations on an epic night.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are we all feeling the day after? How's everybody doing?
Good. Yeah. Yes. Doing good. A little hungover.
A little bit. Yeah, it's always the sequester. The sequester hangover is real. I feel it. Now, mine was more thanks to Capri Sun than anything. I may have set the record for most Capri Suns drank in a single sitting.
Goodness.
Do not recommend. Don't recommend at all.
Louie, I was so impressed with the Capri Suns, let me tell you. I used to buy those for Alex for school, and I'm just like looking at them. How is he taking?
Well, they're pretty small, right?
And said that. I didn't know. Is there Capri Sun in like England? Does that take place? I didn't know if it was just like in America.
Yeah, no, Capri Sun is. Yeah, he loved it.
It's tasty. He said Capri Sun and Sunny D. I'm not
He's
going to get
next to me right now. He's nodding his head going,
They are good. I'm swearing off of them for a little while, though. I think I got my fill for a little bit. But we'll go back eventually. First things first, I mean, what a great cast. What did everyone think when they were watching the videos? It was like one after the other of like people who I was excited to see, like all of the people who were on. What was everyone thinking? What was the first impressions of the cast?
I know for me, like my notes went from like, okay. And then when we got to Kayla, I was like, yes. I was like, goodness. I was really excited because we were just on Podquester before, even though I called her Kaylee like 5,000 times. And then when I got to Louie, I put WTF, no. Because I was like, oh God. He's like, I'm going to be a big threat and such. I'm like, should I go after him or just be nice to him and work with him till further along? But then I got excited when he said the word group chat. But I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my God. This is not going to be an easy ride.
It felt like All-Stars. It really did. I mean, this was crazy good.
Yeah.
The biggest mic drop was probably you, Louie. I was like, what? He's actually playing in our game right now.
Yeah. I thought the cameo. I was like, who's putting Louie in their video?
I thought so too at first. I was like, oh, wow, he's making an intro video.
Malcolm, who will be on in a few minutes, he said when he got into the room, because we were in the same starting room, that he thought I was the mod. And I was like, I don't like
Yeah, I won't try to lie, Louie.
Louie, can I go to the bathroom?
As soon as I saw you in the room, I'm like, well, I got my work cut out for me. This is going to be insane. I literally messaged Lars. I'm like, so Twitter's going to flip. The two people who said that they were done and retired are coming back and playing on a random ass Friday.
Well, apparently that was my intention. I wanted to play. I haven't played in a non-star game as myself, not as Lou, since the game I won. So it has been a very long time. And I was like, it may be the last time I do it, but I wanted to try at least one more and play with, everyone. I knew there'd be names that I knew, obviously, but I also knew that there would be names that, had never played before. And I feel like that's the fun of it. I think it was such a good combination last night because there were obviously a host of people we had seen and played the game, but there was also a lot of people who hadn't played for the first time. Vivian, for example. I want to talk a little bit more about your experience getting there and getting into Sequester. So how did this idea come up with Alex, and how did
Alex? I've only ever watched one game, was the game he played the first time and won. That's it. That's all I've seen. So that's my whole experience, but I hear him all the time and he's always on to you guys and he's got this great network of friends and he loves it. And he's like, Mom, you could do it. And I'm like, oh, no. So I'm sort of glad I didn't know any of you because that I was terrified anyway. And if I'd known how good a player all of you were, like some of you, I wouldn't have set foot in there at all. So I'm glad, like, you know, I didn't know anything. I sort of just went in there blind. And he just said, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Just do what you think is right. So all you can do is be yourself. And that's all I did. But I literally had only seen that one game he played the first time and won it. So that's it. That's literally my only experience.
I think it can really help.
Yeah,
I think it can really help not knowing too much. Like that's what happened to me in my second game. That like the cast wasn't like, it was a private game, but like the cast wasn't announced. And then when I came in there, like I had no idea about all the relationships and like alliances that were made beforehand. So I just went in blind and just played my ass off. And then afterwards I heard like, oh, everyone knew each other and everyone like was friends before the game. And I kind of think that it helped me not knowing that, because then I wasn't
I agree.
scared playing. And
it was a perfect game because I think all the twists were new. So it was new to you, new to everybody.
Yeah.
So we were kind of all on even playing field there.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Sindri just said then. Yeah, it does help a little bit flying blind in one respect because you've got no preconceptions. So, you know, I was just taking everybody on face value. Like, I had no idea.
I'll say I probably would have acted a little bit differently had I known that there were several people in this cast that played with Kayla.
Same. I had no idea.
I literally thought, like,
it would have just made me do that a little bit more savvy.
Yeah, Justin, that was probably your ultimate downfall, unfortunately.
I was
You said that,
100% on board with you
Justin.
until that, and I was like, well, now not so much.
I respected that.
I didn't mind it.
Savage. Yeah,
I didn't mind it,
because
it was great, but I circled your name as a target after that.
Yeah,
of course.
So let's get into it a little bit. Now, this is, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're going to piece this together, you know, because I don't have copious amounts of notes that I'm typically used to. So the first thing we learned going in, and we knew it before the game even started, this was going to be Freaky Friday, which immediately put fear into my heart. I want non-Freaky Friday. I want straightforward twists. Give me an hour later. Give me the things that I am used to. Don't give me weird things I've never seen before. But it was all weird things we had never seen before, and we were kind of just, for people who do prepare, like me, and like want to study the game and know what to expect, makes it very difficult when you have no idea what was going on. The bank of vote was a big thing, and thankfully this time it didn't last the whole game. It lasted for the first 4 rounds. But how did everyone plan to play that? Me personally, I did not vote at all the first 3 rounds, and I banked all of the votes. Did anyone else take that same approach?
Same.
I voted a few times.
I voted the
one
first round, and then after that, I banked everything.
Yeah, because I pushed it. Once I felt like I knew my name wasn't going out and everyone was saying certain, I was like, I'm going to bank it. I'm going to bank it. And I think it benefited me. I did accidentally use 1 on Kayla out because I said I only had 1, but I had 3. But so, because I used the rest on that last round, but clearly that didn't go well. But it was helpful.
With the Freaky Friday clues, I was terrified that this was going to be some kind of Shadows twist where we didn't know who we were paired with. So at some point, we switch bodies or have to vote for other people or get taken out of
what I was thinking.
I thought everybody would like get one person that they were kind of like representing. So like if I got Christian, like you had to vote for me to get Christian out. I thought it would be like that, like the whole pre-jury or something.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought, because like Freaky Friday swapping like bodies. That's what I thought it would be. So when it was not that, I was just really happy that I thought Lindsay Lohan will come, but you know,
Oh my God, yes.
I was happy it wasn't more ridiculous. I was expecting more complicated twists.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I had planned all day for it to be possession. I thought everybody would be possessing someone else's game. That was like, because we've seen that twist before, and not that I'm a Freaky Friday expert. I can't say I've ever seen the movie, but I know enough to know that it's someone in someone else's body, which made me think that that was exactly what it was going to be. But thank God it was not, because that would have been a mess.
I think the good thing about it though is it's kind of like once I saw, I'm like, okay, this game's out of my hand. This game's gonna be crazy. And fun. I was like, I can at least go it with a peace out of mind. I don't have to worry about it. And going into like, I banked all my fills. So like as soon as I was safe with Fan, I'm like, I gotta make sure I'm good with Fan here because I think he may go after me the next round. But as long as I'm good with him, maybe I can do something here. But
yeah,
I want to know how everyone used their bank votes because it sounds like everyone used them. I know I saved all 3 of mine, and then I put them on Justin when he came after Kayla.
Same. I put 4 votes on Justin.
I put one.
I specifically used all my bank votes except for one when I was going after Kayla because I knew if that didn't work, I was still obviously going to have to face her somehow, and so I would have to keep a vote to try at her again. And even if it did work, I knew I was going to be a target, so I would have to have some extra votes to help throw votes on whoever that wasn't me. So, like, in the end, it just ended up all going to Kayla, but it was over the round that I really targeted her in front of everybody, and then the following round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like actually like kind of got into an argument with Audrey in the Skype chat because I was like not yet like I thought because I like banked my first vote and then like I used only 1 when I should have had 2, and then the next one I thought I would then again have 2 because I only used 1 of my former votes. I just didn't understand like completely how the bank votes work, and I was like, no, I should have 2, right? And I was like constantly. I just sent in no vote. Having a whole conversation with Audrey in between rounds, trying to understand what the hell was going on.
So going into round 1, something I wanted to comment on. So the first one was we were watching. Audrey made it very clear: pay attention to the videos more than usual. And the first question was, what was it? Who was the most?
Who is the
genuine?
Least genuine. Least genuine.
Yeah. Genuine. Yeah. Van, was it your birthday?
It was. Well, it was my birthday on Wednesday when I filmed the video. But
okay.
Yes, it was.
There. You were being honest. See, so I forgot that at the moment, and then I was like, oh, people voted for him because of the birthday thing. I did not vote for you. Was that mostly people's thoughts? Who here voted Van?
Excuse me.
Christian, you did this, right? Well, I voted myself, so.
Oh, right.
I voted for Van because I honestly thought, I'm like, someone's going to go for him because of the birthday alone. I don't want to be that person, but I'm like, I want safety because I feel like I need it in this kind of game. So let me just take the risk and I'll deal with Fan later. But I think that they will go for a birthday. I guess I called it right. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's cool. So for me, like my video was garbage. Like it just wasn't good. It's all good. But especially after I saw everyone else's, I was like, oh, I'm going to be the first boot. Like I'm going to get kicked off first. So my thought process was like, I'm going to vote for myself. I don't care if it looks sketchy. If I get the safety, maybe I'll have a round or 2 to like ingratiate, meet people, build relationships, do something. And I wasn't super shocked. I honestly thought more people were going to vote for me. I was shocked it was only.
Your video didn't stand out to me in any way as ingenuine. To be honest, I took a step back and I was like, nothing stood out to me, and I was like, okay, who the heck is everybody going to vote for? So I voted for Louie because I was like,
so genuine.
Because I was like,
get mad at me. Or did it was literally just who's the most conspicuous player here, and it's obviously Louie, so let's just
I would have voted Louie if
I should have, because I did Rasmus just because in his video he was like he throws balls at jukebox. He's like, I'm gonna throw a ball at you, and I'm like, that sounds not nice.
I'm very glad I did not get voted least genuine in the first round because I would have been shocked the entire round. That would have hurt my confidence so badly going in if people thought that about me to start off. I actually, when I showed TR my video beforehand and I was like, what do you think? And he was like, this is terrible. Total first boot vibes. And I was like, what? Like, really? I was so upset by that. I was like,
but I say that I voted for you, but I didn't think you were ingenuine either. I did not think anyone's video was ingenuine. I just couldn't figure out who the heck to vote for that everybody else would vote for.
I think if I'd have got the boot for, like, if everyone had said that about mine, I'd just, that's it, I'm done. Like,
I voted
for ourselves. Like, I don't know, maybe I was alone in that, but like, I'm trying to get safety. I don't care. Like,
I think I just voted for Matt because I was like, I guess recency bias. Like, if his last name on the video, I think people will vote for him, but that didn't work out. So.
Yeah, I'm always of the opinion, we'll get into this later with Keith, like I'm always of the opinion in those earlier rounds, I don't want any attention on me. Like, I just want to try to get through the rounds without anyone really focusing on me until we get to like near jury, because once your name's out there, it's not leaving, and it's just kind of circulating over and over and over again, and it's so hard to avoid that.
My problem is I get bored. I just sit and I try to sit back and I see people not doing anything and I'm like, oh no, is this going to be a boring mini? I want to do something. Let's start the fire. So I get
You started the fire, Justin.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't try to like Justin. I was a bit worried. Like once I saw your video, I'm like, I hope me and him were cool. And then as soon as you're like, I got your back, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Okay, cool. He understands it's just game. Cool. We can do.
I've got to say, my favorite moment in round one was when me and LaFave came into, I think it was like room 1 with Amanda, and Amanda's like, so we were saying Brandon without realizing that Brandon was LaFave because his name was LaFave.
Yeah, that was an oopsie on my part. I was like, oh crap. Now I'm gonna get targeted by him, but I didn't. I don't think.
That's good. I had to leave right after that, so I didn't know if you guys worked it out or anything.
I don't even remember. I black out all my games.
So what do we remember about the first round? I'm kind of thinking on what the actual twist was that eliminated Luke. Do we remember anything specific there?
It was just a regular round.
Yeah, I think it was just the genuine thing.
I think our room, Louie, was pushing for Logan, and then I remember Amanda coming in and saying LaFave, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And then the rooms that I went into, they were saying LaFave and Luke, and I was like, okay, I guess I can get out Logan in another rotation later on in the next couple rounds if his name's already out there, but. Those are the 2 names I heard during the first round.
I heard Al that round too.
I heard Al that round too, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get out.
That was a shock. I was a big Al guy. Never saw him in a single room, but I was like, this Al guy.
I never met him.
Yeah, never met him. Never met him.
He was really nice.
He was cool.
I was worried because while we were getting ready, he was like having issues. He was like, can I watch it on my TV, the stream and everything? But he seemed genuine. But I think with our room, because Amanda and Justin was also in our starting room with Jamie and Al. I think we said Luke, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, we said Luke and LaFave.
Yeah, and then after all y'all left, it was me and Jamie like, hey, final 2. She's like, ah. So I was like, yeah. I just loved her.
I think it for me, I was hoping it wouldn't be Luke because he like shouted out one of my friend like Ashley Keenan in his video, so like, okay, I have an in. But in general, I was just happy that it wasn't me. But like every I think it's like kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy for me that like every time I go into a game, I think I'll be targeted one of the first people, and I think because of that, I come in strong and make myself a target anyway. So it's kind of like a cycle of that. So every time I watch the videos, I'm not thinking who I can work with. I'm thinking who I can make into a replacement target instead of me. And Al was like the first name I thought of. So every time I start in the first round, I want to throw out a name straight away. But it didn't work this time.
And it did seem like a lot of names were floated that kind of continued on. So as we got to round 2, this was an interesting one. So every room had to pick a volunteer to actually go in and choose. And that's difficult enough as it is, but then those people were going to be at risk for actually being dragged. My room personally, I was in room 3 and we volunteered Malcolm. I know me and LaFave kind of protected each other there. I had played one game with LaFave before, like a mini. And so I thought we kind of had each other's back and we kind of protected each other in there. And I think the main move was we knew Malcolm would be most safe of everyone in the room in terms of not being dragged. So we nominated him, and he picked, I think, Nate and Rasmus, I think those were the 2 names that went up. How did everybody else's room fare?
Well, I was nominated straight off the bat. Nobody, let's be honest, in our room,
I felt so bad.
Everybody sat there and they're all looking at each other. I was like, oh no, nobody's going to step forward here, are they? And then it got to be like, well, I think I honestly think I got picked on because I was the senior player in the room. Send the senior player up. And I was like, Oh, thanks.
So they figured no one would drag you.
Yeah, and I thought, well, I'm going to be dragged. You know, I mean, I've got no idea what I'm doing. They've sent me up like lamb to the slaughter here. I'm gone, aren't I? I'm absolute gone. I thought, thanks, guys. Like,
those were pretty bad odds because out of 5 rooms? So it's like 1 out of 5 chance you're getting dragged that round.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought, I definitely thought I was gone.
It's better off to be one of the flops than to be one of the people.
Like I know for my room, I forget who all was in there. I know Christian was in there, but like I sort of subtly threw Al under the bus. I was like,
I was gonna say,
how's he doing? Like, you know, no one's gonna drag. I really didn't think anyone was gonna drag him, but like we'd spent like basically the entire first round together. So I was like, maybe he won't nominate me. So
I know.
Part of me wanted to play like aggressive. Like there night where I thought for a hot second, like, you know what? I've been dragged twice. I'm not afraid of getting dragged. It is what it is. If you take the risk, it's safety, and maybe I could talk myself out of the drag. So I was originally gonna play aggressive, but then I saw in my room like it's Rachel, it's Fan, it's these people. I'm like, I want to play loyal, and I have to at least show Fan and other people that, hey, you can trust me in this game. I got your back no matter what. If I take the bullet here, and if I'm a flop, then so be it. But I thought I at least did enough work with Al for him not to put me up. So I'm like, let me just take this risk here. Let me just lay back, and I don't want to go under the radar, at least for this portion more before have to speed up. I felt like it worked well because it wasn't the people who wanted to nominate up. But I'm like, okay, it's not Fan, it's mixed, which I feel sad. And like the 2 people nominated, I'm like, oh shit. But I felt like we were good after that. So I'm like, okay, no blood in my hands, but it is what it is.
I know.
Yeah, Vivian, why did you put me up as a flop? I thought we were cool.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I know why I put Nate up because he was the first person to say, right, you're going in the room. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, you put my name out there. I really didn't want to be doing that. So that stuck in my head. And I thought, I'm just going to, I know, you know, that was it. I just stuck to that's what I felt. I did it. I actually don't even remember why I put your name up. I'm sorry. I have to be totally honest there. And I am alphabetical. I don't remember. And I'm sorry, but yeah. So I mean that one, but Nate, I do remember why, because he straight away, oh, Vivian, you can go in the.
Justin was the captain of my room 2, and the first name he threw out was me, and I was like, no, please don't do this, because I was. Sorry. You can go. No, you can go.
Yeah, it was me, James, Keith, Sindri, and was it Jamie? Was the last one?
Jamie, yeah.
Okay, so because Keith, Jamie, and I were in a starting room, I was actually pretty fine with just volunteering because it was clear, like, okay, I have people I'm protecting and people I'm not protecting. There's 2 names I can throw out there, and I also honestly, like, I was being really honest saying that, James, I didn't think that you were going to go. I knew I was going to throw out Sindri's name regardless of how we deliberated. And honestly, I thought that there was that when you became a name, Sindri, or was your name already coming up in the first round? Because I know that at that point, as the round was going on, I was like, oh, Sindri could really go here.
I don't remember if my name went out the first round, but yeah, that might have been the impetus for my name going out there.
I think I was just nervous because I feel like people come with a strategy of like, oh, I'm going to put 2 people or 1 person or whatever that's going to be safe. And I personally felt like maybe people were going to put up like all the women or something. So I was like, if it's me against them, like I'm probably going to go. And I was really nervous about that. But yeah.
I got to say, it was hard to do it also because in my first ever game of Sequester, the very first round, that was what someone did to me. One of like the first things that was said in my opening room was, so we got to put someone up in our room. So Justin, we think you're going to be safe. And I immediately remember being like, oh, screw you guys. If I'm not going to be safe, I hate you. So it sucked turning that around on you, but it was like, ooh, this
I'm just glad you told me, honestly.
So after that, I feel like Al, when I looked at the people who went in, I feel like Al was the clear drag just because his name had been out there previous. And I was curious if Nate was going to like drag someone else whose name hadn't been out there and make a big move. But it did kind of go taking Al and removing him from the picture as we went into round 3.
So wait, this was the drag that y'all that weren't in, I guess, the committee or whatever it was called, didn't hear Nate's speech, correct?
No.
I thought we were going to, but no.
Yeah, I thought we were going to as well.
Same. Yeah, no, we didn't.
Oh yeah, we heard nothing. It was just
He just popped into the app, right? What did he say?
He went off apparently.
Yeah, he went
Yeah, he
all
was
the way
mad.
through Sindri way under the bus. Like that
Oh,
was
wow.
like, really kind of scary to do. Yeah, that Nate was like, he went through all of us and gave us all reasons why he wasn't dragging us, and then I don't even remember how Sindri was pulled into it, but your name was brought up in the process of that, unless I was remembering things. But it was really surprising. It was just like, whoa, that came out of left field.
I remember him being very angry. I only saw him once, but he came into a room just ranting and screaming, being like, somebody's out for me and I'm pissed off and I'm going to take him out. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
well, I haven't voted. So goodbye.
I told him that on accident, actually. I didn't even know he was in a room. I just remember saying like, yeah, I'm hearing Nate's name. And then I see him go like this in the corner. And I'm like, yeah, Nate, I'm so sorry. I'm hearing your name. I don't know who it's coming from. We should go look for them. And then I was like, I think I said something like, I think it's Logan saying that. And then he like left and he was so angry.
One of my favorite moments of the night, I thought it was hilarious. So I was in a room with Logan. It was just me and him. And then Nate hops in and Nate was like, I hear my name's out there and I'm pushing Logan and like to Logan's face. And I was just like, I was gagged. I was like, holy shit. Sorry.
Oh my
But
God.
no,
amazing.
I felt bad for him. He seemed upset, but like it was so funny. I love when people like, and we had a couple moments like Justin, we'll get to it later. Like all of that is so great to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went on to round 3. Now this was a round where we were voting someone out, but then they could guess who voted for them out of like double the amount of people. And if they got it correct, they would be safe and that person was out. So this was the Logan elimination, but he actually did. I was surprised he only had 2 votes first off. So that means he went on with 2 votes.
Mhm.
So there were 4 options. So he had a pretty good chance of figuring it out. And on the first guess he did. But thankfully, Sindri, you had an LOS.
Yes. My first ever LOS and I used it like straight away and I never got one again. But yeah, like that whole round I thought while I was playing it that I was playing it perfectly, and then like out of nowhere he picks me. But the thing is, I was in a starting room with both Nate and Logan, and usually my strategy for every time I've played is like get that starting room alliance straight away. I know people don't like it, but you have to do it. But when I saw my starting room, I got scared. This is not like the power group I would have wanted, because it was Nate, Logan, and Joshua. And like both Nate and Logan are people that I saw straight away, okay, these people will be targeted early. And from what I've seen from Joshua, like he's a great player, but not always to be trusted 100%. So I didn't know if he would want to work with me. But I thought that at least if I voted for Logan and I knew Matt was voting for Logan as well, that of course he would choose Matt first, because like Matt was the other target in that round. So he would choose Matt, Logan would stay, I could find him again and say I'm still up with the Room Alliance, and I could keep my ally, keep my LOS, and get Matt out. And if I had voted for Matt, I thought he would be more likely to pick me than Logan would. But then Logan out of nowhere picked me first, and then picked Joshua, who was also in the starting room. I just don't get what the logic was to picking us two, both starting room people.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Like, I was in the room a lot. I think it was me, Joshua, Jamie, and Logan, and we were telling Logan, like, hey, your name's going out there. You really need to go save yourself. Like, we are not going to, like, we literally told him straight up, like, we're not going to vote for you. And, like, as soon as he left the room, like, we're banging our votes, right? Like, we're banging our votes. So it's like, none of us were going to vote for him regardless, because it wasn't us. We could at least get some more power. And, like, Joshua, like, he plays a similar game to where I play, where it's like, but he's straightforward. Like, he's straightforward, he's honest, he's gonna tell you how it is. And once I heard him like say that, I'm like, okay, great, we're thinking the same logic, because that's exactly what I was thinking. So when he said using tree, I was surprised. I'm like, this is out of nowhere, okay. But then as soon as you had the LOS, I'm like, okay, this is great. I wanted to work with Sindri. I'm surprised he didn't say Matt, because like Matt was the only other person who out of the 4 I was said Matt definitely probably voted for him, because I heard Matt say Logan's name in this game. It made no sense, especially when Joshua. I'm like, Matt's a straight up player. Like Matt is like, well, Joshua's the straight up player. Like Joshua is never gonna tell you what he's not gonna do. And in this situation, I'm like, that wasn't the right. I mean, good player on him, because he did get one of the 2, and I don't know how any of us would figure out in that kind of situation in high stress. So he played it good, but that was just like a fatal error in his judgment during that game.
Yeah, I just felt it was so obvious Matt voted for him.
Yeah.
But maybe
I
Logan
thought
never
that
got wind of that. But like because the names that were out there were Matt and Logan, and then I heard a little bit of my name. That's why I used my vote on Nate, just in case, and also because I thought he would never pick me. But things happen.
This ended up being the round for me that I started setting my sights on Kayla, and it was because of a very specific series of events that I think all happened within this round. In that I ended up in a room alone with Louie, and in that moment was like, okay, so I really need to do something about these winners because there's more than one, first of all, so there's too many. So I knew there were three? I thought there were two. I thought it was just Louie and Kayla.
No, Joshua, Louie, and Kayla. Joshua.
Josh was probably that's the only one who I recognized besides Louie. In terms of
he won Brit Quester.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So basically, I thought
I was shocked when I saw Josh because I've seen basically every mini aside from Brit Quester. That was like the only one I hadn't seen. But I saw him last weekend on the Winners at War mini, and then shockingly, this was the interesting part was that on Wednesday I did a stream for the Survivor South Africa mini at 2 p.m. Never spoken to Josh at all. And he DM'd me and was like, can I come on? So I had just interacted with him for like 6 or 7 hours, like 2 days before. And I was like, well, that was lucky.
Yeah,
as it turns out, didn't mean a whole lot. But nonetheless, it had some sort of connection. Yeah.
To finish on what I was saying is that basically after I was in a room alone with Louie, we were like, yeah, we're totally want to work together. Then I realized, okay, so I'm going to have to set my sights on Kayla. Then Kayla quickly came into the room and threw out Christian's name. And not only was I like, okay, that's out of left field. I haven't heard Christian's name. Louie then immediately said, I have not heard Christian's name. And to me, I received that as Kayla trying to bait out Christian and I's past beef as like, ooh, here's a juicy target, Justin, go for Christian, go for Christian. I have no clue if that's actually what she was doing. I was probably just way in my head in the middle of this game. But at that point, that was like, okay, so Kayla's looking shady. I've got a final 2 with Louie. Like, this sounds like a nice path, at least to jury, of taking out Kayla early, riding with Louie far, and then we'll see where we go from there.
See, I wish I knew that, Justin. And that was, I don't know, it kind of threw me off. And I guess because we haven't spoken much, but like I was firmly on board with working with you until, and this is jumping ahead, but when I heard you say the thing to Kayla about her being a winner, I was like, oh, well, he wants both of us out then. And that was what made me flip the switch of thinking you needed to go, because I thought once she was done, you'd come after me.
Yeah, I won't try like just to jump in here. Like I remember it was like me, like I didn't have any join a room or something like that, where it's like me, you, Justin, and Louie, we all three joined a room like, hey, let's work together. And I was tight full on that because I knew that someone is gonna bring out the past game with me and Justin. Like someone is gonna do this to try to get me out. And it was a round where I couldn't be safe. So as soon as I saw you, Justin, as soon as I saw you, Louie, I'm like, Louie plays me and him like I think I played where I have an overall kind of different game, but me and you play the same game where we both play unexpected. We go into the game and we play the game based on who's in the cast and things like that. We're all round the games. I think you're more heroish, I'm more villainous, but we play this similar ways. And with Justin, it's the kind of thing where I've worked with you in the past. Like me and you have worked together in the past. We may have had some beef after Pride, but it's kind of like I saw you both and like these are the two who I want to work with because Louie is the shield I need because I'm a big name, he's a big name, and Justin is a one person who could target me first. So if I swatch this beef with Justin here, maybe I have a long way in this game. Clearly didn't because of everything how it went down. But still, like once I said like final 3, I was serious about like yes go final 3. The only person that which I made a deal with was Mix, who was like final 2, and my ideal final 4 with the people who I talked with was like Louie, Justin, and Mix, because I'm like at least I know that I can trust these people and these people are gonna try to say my name. So like I didn't even know that Kayla threw out my name first until after the fact. If I did, maybe some of my votes would have went to her in the round we're talking about coming up, but just had to play the game that which I was dealt with, and I felt like played a good game for everything. Just entering.
So after that, it moved us to round 4, and this was a round where you would choose one person within the room every, I believe it was minute and a half, to move to the next room. Which was an interesting strategy. There were a few rounds this time around where like you couldn't really get into certain rooms, and my strategy is always move as quickly as possible to every room to make sure nobody's saying your name. And we saw a few instances this time around where you really couldn't do that, where you had to rely on, you know, the bonds that you had already made and just hope that no one was saying your name because you may not be moving. This round resulted in the Matt elimination. I think the main takeaway I had from this round for me personally was in the room with Christian and Justin, and that I was in a room with Justin alone for at least a portion of time and got to talk to him and be like, because Christian's name at that point was out there.
Yeah.
And wanted to see what the where it was there in terms of where the votes were going, because I think it was definitely going to be either Christian or Matt.
I mean, I could just jump in with my point of view of the so I was in a room with Jamie. I was in a room with Joshua, and we all look at each other. We're like, okay, I'm gonna go first, and then we're gonna each go our own way. So Joshua goes first, and then I don't know if I hear my name or not, but like I say, okay, I'm gonna bounce, and then in the next room, I definitely heard my name because Joshua was like, hey, we just heard your name. We're hearing like Matt or Christian, and as soon as that would go, I'm like, okay, I thought I was gonna play on the radar. No, I had to be my aggressive feeling. I gotta go fight for myself because otherwise I'm screwed here. So like, regardless of what anyone say, I forget who the room. Like, I'm leaving this room. I'm gonna fight my ass off. If I'm going out, I'm going out with bang. I'm going out safe in my own behind because I don't play a game where it's like if my name's out there, I don't play a game quiet and shy. If my name's out there, if my name's not out there, I play on the radar, of course, because my name's not out there. But once it is, I had that switch. So like I went room to room saying Matt or I guess LeFavorite. I'm gonna just say it that way because I don't know how to say it. But like I kept on hearing my name, like no LeFave. But like let's go with LeFave. Let's go with Matt. Some people said LeFave. Some people had Matt. At that point, I had 3 of my votes, and I said to myself, I'm good. I darted myself like, okay, I can last these first 3 rounds, but once round 4 goes on, I'm probably gonna play and use it here. So I ended up using 2 of my votes on Matt and 1 of my vote on LeFave, just in case if he had a LOS, at least I could try to stand and like I know that the votes are gonna be on the 2 people whose names were out there, and I felt like regardless of whether or not I got voted out there, at least I made the effort going from room to room, trying to play the best game that I could in that moment.
I know for that round, initially, I think I started out with it was Rachel. Right, we started out maybe.
I think it was me.
No, you started the room right before me. I was with LeFave and Jamie. You came. Yeah. We sent LeFave. Then you came into my room and said LeFave's name. And I was like, oh heck no. And then you went to the next room. And then I like tried to follow you because I was like, if he's trying to spread LeFave's name, that's not happening.
So, okay, because that was my initial plan. Because I did not want to stay in a room because that's like when my anxiety gets real bad. And I think I've seen people who played who get comfortable in one room and all that such. So I was trying to push his name just because, in all honesty, I just didn't get to talk to him that much. And I feel like we're at this point of the game where I have to start going for those. And his name was gaining traction, but every time I went to a room where I got pushed to one, because I wanted to, I sort of lied a couple times. Like when I came to y'all's room, I was like upset. I was like, "Why did they pick me?" I wanted to go, because I wanted to push it. But everyone was like, "Matt." I was like, "Oh, damn it! Guess I gotta do that." I was like, "Y'all don't tell LeFave that I wanted him out," which I don't know if that. I think maybe people told him. I don't know.
I told him.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. There were 5 people from 7-Eleven, right?
Yeah.
I'm always so thrown off by the dates. What is who won 7-Eleven?
7-Eleven.
I only know 918. That's all I know. 918.
It was me, Amanda, Rasmus, Kayla, and Christian. I was watching those intro videos. If anyone looks back, I want to see like if I got a poker face on because I was like,
right, same.
Oh my god.
Who won 7-Eleven? It was Kayla? Kayla won 7-Eleven?
Yeah, Kayla won it.
Yeah. Crazy.
Like it's just all that I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing the reunion show.
And see, that's interesting because I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember most of these dates. I can't remember some of my own, but you know, since we've had like 50 bagillion minis, okay, like over 100 now, these kind of things start to overlap. And I know we'll probably talk about this later when I do the key thing. I do remember seeing the 7-Eleven thing, but it was just like oh crap, because I understand that situation, because I know a couple of games ago there was like 5 people from the 716 mini, which was a fresh me. I wasn't playing, but I was watching it, so I was like rooting for my people, even though I did feel bad for those who weren't in that big group, and now I know how it felt now playing it.
What I like,
I was wondering, did anyone else clock that?
I didn't clock it, but I never felt like it was exclusive. It didn't feel like y'all were playing for Kayla by any means. It felt like y'all were all really hard playing your own game.
Also, like Kayla and Christian were targeting each other.
Yeah, I won't try to lie. Like, props for Kayla for going for me, because I played these games 4 times, and I think everyone can say, like, I can play a loyal game. Like in 7-Eleven, I did play a loyal game. I played loyal.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't, Chris.
I was loyal to my word, everything like that. For the most part, when I had to snake,
Amanda, I almost voted you out after you told me that you're gonna be loyal to me.
But like when I had to snake, I had to snake. But every other game that which I played with POC, with Tri-State, and with Pride, I target big names, and I was an absolute villain snake. So going into it, I'm like, one of these big names are gonna try to get me out and kick smart move on Kayla. But my set is like, there's 5 7-Eleven people. I'd be an idiot to go after someone from 7-Eleven. I was gonna be loyal to everyone, like every person who I made a deal with. I was gonna be loyal to, because I'm like, everyone say that my game's a certain way, but I'm like, I play an all-around game. I could play under the radar. I could play aggressive. I could play the snaky, filling it role. I can play this game in any way possibly can. It's just like, and that's the problem though, because people see me and they're like, he's unpredictable, and people like, this isn't shade for anyone, but people like the known than the unknown. So in a cast like in this cast, I was hoping more unknown people, because I think I do better in a cast with less returners compared to if there's more returners. Okay, it's gonna be a fight depending on who's the returners.
Yeah,
so
I definitely felt that way with you, Chris. Like, I didn't want you to go as early as you did, but I knew as it got down, I know you're not afraid to make those villainous moves, and I figured you would probably try to get me at some point. So
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't. Like in that game, I wasn't gonna target any of the big names. Like I wouldn't have. Like for you, like when I said final 3, I was dead ass. I'm sorry, excuse me, but I was dead serious about it. I'm like, because if I'm gonna lose, I'd rather lose to the best. Like Sindri winning it, like okay, great, I lose it, great. I'd rather lose to a great winner than not play the game at all. And it's like, Louie, you're one of the best to ever play. So I had a ton of respect with you. So it's kind of the thing where I'm not gonna try to lie. I understand that I'm polarized or stuff like that, but like you gotta play the game and you gotta play the cards that you dealt with. And I think in the situation I played of all the games, the most fun I've had and the best game I possibly played by far, in my opinion. But
yeah, it's so hard with so many minis these days to really remember like the only thing I remembered was that you and Justin played together and that Rachel and Kayla had played together in the Greek life. But like that was all I had. I had no idea about the 5-person people who worked together. But Kayla was always my number 1, and I think I was always her number 1. So like I didn't even really worry about it too much in terms of I thought she'd be loyal to me.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get you alone, because I wanted to tell you, because like I know I got out pretty early in 7-Eleven, and I mean I had a pretty iconic exit, but you know, still a little forgettable. It's been 2 months, and I wanted to be like, hey, I got you. I know that you're Kayla's best friend. I got you. But we never got to be alone, so.
Yeah. And Louie, you like mentioned Kayla's name and you said something about going after her. So I wrote down that like you weren't afraid to go after her, and I was like, okay, keep my eye out for Louie now. I don't remember when that was.
At one point it was, I was saying it to try to, I think it was the round that everybody had tied and that it was going to go to a wheel between her and someone.
Was that the next round?
Yeah, I think so. And my plan was to get everybody to do that and then to vote a different way so she would be safe and I would be safe. Was the plan, and make it not go to the wheel, but that didn't end up happening anyway, I don't think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after that round, after Matt's elimination, it brought us to room roulette, where one room received the sole decision, and in this case, one person received the sole decision on what to put up. So this round resulted in the Christian elimination, but Justin, you had a very clear target. So just a little bit what you were thinking there and how you went about that.
Yeah, so as Audrey was explaining the rules, that was when I was getting to this headspace of like, okay, this is kind of complicated. It's not making sense in my brain. And so then I immediately went to don't hesitate, just go for your gut decision. And so once the round started, I think it was just us three, Louie, Christian, in a room, because I remember specifically Louie immediately leaving, Christian taking a couple seconds, we exchanged some words, and then you pretty much left pretty quickly. And so I was in the room alone, and also figured I was going to stay in that room alone because I was in room 5. So I was like, okay, I could gamble this and stay here, because from what I could remember her explaining, this didn't sound bad to be the one person, like basically I wasn't going to get automatically eliminated from the wheel like it normally would happen. So I was like, okay, let's ride on through. And honestly, as the first rounds of the wheel, I was still kind of putting it together like, wait, do I want this? Do I not want this? I don't know. And then obviously when it landed on me, and then she actually explained again, okay, it's up to me to nominate a room. It was an immediate blessing and a curse because, of course, like, great, I get to target exactly whoever I want to target. But then the problem being, how are these rooms set up? And who am I going to be putting up in the process of getting out my target? Mm-hmm. And I still haven't gone back to then really look back at a more level-headed space of like what the actual room setup was, because at that point, I'm on cloud 9 that I decided to stay in a room by myself. The wheel ended up landing on me in the right way, and I actually had this decision in the first place, just me. Like that, I was so on that train that was when I went full power trip mode. It was like, okay, so I'm going to really target anybody. I don't really know who, so let's just go for a winner. And like from what I could remember, it was that with who else was in the room with Kayla, I was pretty confident that they weren't going to go. And key piece of information that I was not getting was, one, obviously she's the LOS queen, she's going to play an LOS, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. 2, like, weird in the end how it ended up, but the 7-Eleven connection is also something too, like, that would have changed my decision-making completely had I had that piece of information. So my point in going very clearly for Kayla was so that I didn't risk 4 people kind of coming after me saying, you didn't say who you wanted out, why did you nominate our room? And then having to back up later, oh, isn't it clear I want Kayla out? Because of course Kayla's gonna hear that. So I'm like, there's no point in just running this around, just tell everyone. And hopefully these people are smart enough to vote out a winner. But
they were,
they
were, it just didn't work out. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the problem is like when you so publicly are making a target known, I think it incentivizes the rest of us to be like, well, no, we're gonna leave her in. They're gonna go after each other. And that's not us.
All I remember when you made that decision, and I was like, oh, okay. And then you said, I'm gonna go straight for Kayla. My jaw hit all the way to the floor, went downstairs and everything. I think Amanda, because I was worried because I was in the room with Amanda, Lefebvre, Sindri and Lefebvre both had their names out before. Mm-hmm. But I was like, are you going to still do the Room 1 Alliance situation? Not Room 1 Alliance, whatever Room Alliance we're in. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like jaw dropped. And then immediately after, I was like, do we respect his wishes or go after someone else? And then technically it kind of went both ways. People tried to respect your wishes, but then Kayla was like, oh, LOS.
Yeah, I was like surprised, Justin. To your credit, I mean, you did get the majority of votes on her, which I didn't see. I didn't. If I knew she was going to get the majority of votes, I would have voted. I only just put one vote in. I still saved my votes because everybody who was coming into the room to me, like my initial thought was, all right, how do I get this off of her? And my thought was, well, we need to keep her in so Justin and Kayla keep after each other for a drag round. And I thought that spin would work. So basically I stayed in one room. I stayed in room 1 the entire round, waited for an LOS, and anybody who came in, I just tried to deflect onto other names. And everybody, I thought when they left, were not voting for her, but she still ended up getting.
Me too. I was surprised. I wonder how many people actually voted. I changed my vote, and now I maybe I should have, but like I knew like, and then maybe there were just not that many people who actually voted that round.
I voted for Christian because it was either between, because I was in a room with Viv. I was like, I really want to try to work with Viv. I was like, oh, but I thought the bank twist ended that round.
No.
We had to vote.
It ended when Yeah, but you could use them still. You could
okay.
Yeah,
I
you
was
can
like,
use them.
because if we could have used that round to earn another bank, I was not going to vote at all. But I was like, well, I guess I should start voting
Yeah,
now.
never mind.
Yeah. I won't try to lie, Justin. As soon as I saw, because part of me was like, maybe I should go back to room 5 because I don't think Justin should have gone. And in hindsight, probably should have. But like, I saw Migs there, and I saw Kayla. I assume 7-Eleven. Migs is my final 2. I love you, Vivian, but I'm like, okay, if there's a room that we should go in, maybe I could do some damage here. So as soon as I saw you, Justin, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's going to say my name. I'm screwed. But so as soon as he's there saying my name, I'm like, oh, I don't want to turn against Kayla. But it's a game's a game. We're gonna have to do some work. I'm gonna have to be messy. I'm gonna have to turn on my feeling ways. So as soon as I saw that, originally I went for Vivian. He's like, okay, we're gonna do this. But as soon as I heard, oh, Kayla's throwing your name, like, okay, so since she did the first turn, guess I gotta do my work, and guess I gotta fight as hard to go after Kayla. Didn't expect to that early, but it is what it is, and I just got going room to room. I remember hearing Jamie saying, so we're phoning out Christian, and I go in the room, and because I don't have a filter, just cursing, you're not saying my freaking name. Like, I'm gonna fight, like, no, we're gonna vote Kayla, or we're voting Vivian. I could have thrown Migs on the bus. I'm like, I'm never voting Migs out. I love that dude too much. I'm like, let me just get this out the way and let me just fight. And I don't have any issues going out there because I'm like, in an all-star caliber cast, I didn't get voted out. I got LOS out. The only way that I got voted was through LOS. There's no, because if it wasn't LOS, like, I did my job. Like, even I was surprised that Kayla got most of the votes, to be honest. Because I'm like, I'm screwed, but
I must say, on that note, out of the 4 people nominated, Migs is not here, but I did make a note saying no mention of his name at all. I was like, that's really good, especially in a minimal flop round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played very, very, very well, especially in those early rounds.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I thought everyone's name would be thrown out because it was like we knew it would be Kayla for one reason, but who would be the alternate for Kayla in terms of people who are like, let's not respect Justin's wishes so we can have Kayla and him fight out for a couple more rounds.
Yeah, I know, like Migs, like I guess in the chat said that like he threw 3 his votes for Kayla. Where thank you, Migs, love you. But like as soon as I saw Migs in there, it's kind of like this is my ride or die. This is like I said final 2 deal. I'm gonna go loyal to it. I could have turned on him. I could have been not loyal. I could have been the shady, sneaky. I could have played that game, but I was like, it's Migs. I'm not gonna do that. Like I as soon as I saw him, like the 3 people who I like in this game, like never play with Louie. I want to play with Louie. Never play with Sindri. I've wanted to play with Sindri. Never play with Migs. Wanted to play with Migs. Never played with even James or Keith. Or there's people in this game who are like, I've never played with them. I want to play with them. And Migs was one of those people where I'm like, I've never played with him. I want to go and do this. So it's kind of the thing where it's like it didn't work out, but I'm like the only times that I didn't organize a mini is like tracks or Will and LOS. I can't get voted out in normal way, so it is what it is.
So Christian, I know it'd been a long while since you had played last. You were unofficially retired, but how was it coming back?
Felt weird. Like I'm going to try to like honest. Like after 2 months, I didn't think I would play again. If I'm being honest, I was like, I'm done, good. But to play, this was the first game I actually had fun. Like this is a game where I got to play under the radar and aggressive. I got to play the exact game I wanted to, and like I wore masks. I had my Yoshi.
Well, it's a very, very creepy mask, by the way.
It's a Freddy's, and I had a fun time, and it's kind of the time where I get to go hits up high, play a good game, and had fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I guess check out Love Island Mini on Wednesday because I'm doing
We'll be there. I'm hoping to find true romance whilst doing commentary.
Can I do?
Thank you.
Thanks, Christian.
Have a good one, yeah.
All right.
I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
It was a very interesting round, of course. But I was first of all convinced that Justin would pick our room, like 100%. I was just waiting for it. But when he didn't, I thought, of course, like straight away, I wanted Christian out instead of Kayla. So Justin and Kayla would go against each other. But my first instinct was to jump into Justin's room as fast as possible and like get a deal with him. So I had both a deal with him and Kayla. Because when I heard that he was targeting a big player like that, I had to make sure that I would not be one of those players. So my first thought was like, okay, I gotta get Justin in a room and say like, oh, I respect that so much. I want to play with power players.
So was this when that happened for us, Sindri? That
yes,
was
yes.
Okay, I couldn't place that.
Yeah, I came in straight into your room after you did that, and just like, okay, I have to make a final two with this guy because I gotta make sure he's on my side.
Yeah, because my strategy after obviously the whole speech and everything was there's no reason for me to continue hopping around because everyone knows who I want out. I'm just going to continue putting feet in my mouth if I'm continuing to talk. So I figured I'll just stay here, and I was alone for a while. And then when Sindri came in, everything you were saying made a lot of sense because I also had known that your name had been out there and you were a big target. So like, well, now I'm a big target too, so I need to keep him in. Like, yeah, let's go deep. I was totally ready to go really far with you, and so it was so vindicating then to see your like way at the end of the game, like jury answers and things like that, because it was like, yes, like he specifically used this strategy on me, completely worked. If I had a jury vote, it would have gone to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to comment on that, Sindri, because I feel like that was where our games differed a little bit, and I wanted to give you credit for that, because I do feel like we played pretty similar games-ish during the course of it. But for me, like when I saw someone going after one of basically either you or Kayla, my immediate instinct was they need to go. Like I need to eliminate them so my allies are safe. Where I feel like you played a different game is that when you saw that, you gravitated towards them and still tried to build a bond and still tried to work with them, which I feel like was a key difference. And I think probably, I mean, we'll get to it way later, but probably what benefited you the most. But
I knew I had to like get, because like there were so many really good players in this cast, and I knew I had to play with the big players, but I also had to get an upper hand on them. So I knew I had to have some people that were willing to take those shots, or that if they took those shots, they would not take it against me, but they would take it against Louie or Kayla instead. So I always wanted to have that like upper hand, that extra connection that made sure that anytime a target was actually thrown out, it would like a big target, it would not be me.
So going to the next round. So this was, we sent in a number, and depending on that number, you could only go to even or odd rooms. Now, odds had less people, I believe. I was in odds, and I was in room 1 for all of 5, and then I stayed there for all of 6 as well for round 6. I did not move for 2 rounds in room 1. And basically, because I knew everybody in my side I was good with. I just didn't know what the other side was doing. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can really do. So I was just trying to make sure that all of the odd rooms voted the same, which was on Justin. And I knew at this point I was going to use all my votes that were saved up just to protect myself in case the even rooms were coming for me. But what was everyone else's strategy here?
That's sort of
go ahead.
It's sort of similar. I wanted to jump through each room to see, because I felt like we kind of had a little advantage because we had more space, but that could have been disadvantage as well. And just jump around and see, because I don't remember the last time this twist has happened. I don't know if people usually vote together if they're in the same thing, but I felt like in this situation we had to, and it kind of worked out. Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, I know for us on the even side, I was trying to push Kayla. And I think it was the first time I ran into Jamie, and I was hopping back and forth, and it became apparent to me like, oh, people don't want to do Kayla, but no one would throw out another name, which is, I think we split our votes. I think that's why Justin ended up going. At least
it was heartbreaking for me because Kayla had just come into room 5 at the end of the previous round, so we didn't exchange any words. We were just silent. And then once we got our odds and evens assignments, she was odd and I was even. And it pissed me off so much because all I wanted was us to at least get in a room together with other people, because I knew there was nothing I could say to make her not want to come at me. I was still going to do the like very boilerplate, like, look, I have to aim for someone. You're a big target. I'd like to work with you because now I'm a big target too, and I have to keep me in, but I know you can't trust me, blah, blah, blah. But what I wanted was, I knew she had some heat. I wanted that heat to come out onto me publicly so other people could see take her out while we have the chance. And it just really upset me that luck then was not on my side at all. I didn't get that opportunity. I was basically just kind of didn't really hop between my rooms much because, again, people knew who I wanted out. I just reiterated, she had an LOS. Now she does not. Take this opportunity before she gets another one. And it didn't work.
Yeah,
no,
all that.
It was a very awkward round because everyone was coming for Kayla in the even, and maybe Joshua's name was mentioned a little bit in the beginning, and I didn't want to vote for Kayla for obvious reasons. So, but then I couldn't really say anything else either, so I just had to sit there quietly and then just used my bank votes. But I didn't know who to put my votes on because I wasn't in the room with Kayla, and so I didn't know the conversations that went on in the other. So I just guessed, and I didn't vote for Justin in that round, and I was actually very surprised that everyone, since they were the minority, still managed to get you out. Because I guess everyone used banked votes in that round to save Kayla.
Yeah, I'm curious how close that vote was because I imagine it had to be people using their banked votes that tipped it over the edge.
Used only one of mine.
I was in even and I was hearing Kayla, and obviously as 7-11 I didn't want to hear Kayla. And so I just figured that Kayla would be in the odd number rooms pushing for Justin. And I thought that maybe Justin would have majority. So I just guessed and put my vote on Justin. I'm sorry, but
I knew after that announcement, I was like, Kayla's going to go for him. We got to get him out because if we don't get him out, then he's going to get her out. And I think we were in like room 2 and 4, and Justin, you were in 2, and you were like, we got to go for Kayla. And then it was like most of us were in there, and then some people started dropping out, and we're like, I'm going to go check out what's in the other room. And I don't know what happened to the other room, but I was sitting there just like, yeah.
You got me so hard, Rachel, because once I got voted out and came out the other side, I was like, wait. She played with Kayla. She was working beside her the whole time. Like when we were in the room alone, I was so truthful. I was like, I low-key had thrown your name out earlier, but now I wanted to take it back because I really liked you. And I was like, ooh, maybe we could really work. This is feeling good.
I so would have loved to work with you, but you made yourself too big a target coming after Kayla. And I knew that like I had to have her back, you know?
Yeah, it was also a thing of you knew that Kayla won, so you might have known that, you know, the 7-11 alliance was a thing. And so that's why I wanted to vote you out. I didn't want that target on my back because I knew that my name really hadn't been out there previously, and I wanted to keep it that way.
Yeah, when I used it, because I wanted to keep my banked votes as long as I possibly could. As it turns out, and Audrey must have planned it this way because I'm very glad I used them then, because the next round ended up being now or later with revealed votes where I didn't end up voting anyway, and I wouldn't have wanted to vote, but I would have had 4 votes, so I would have had to. So it actually ended up working out all right, I guess, because the round placement. But yeah, I mean, Justin, what were your thoughts overall? I mean, it'd been a little while since you last played as well, right? So how is it feel coming back?
I've played twice before, and the gap between both times was almost exactly 2 months, both times. Kind of astounding. And so it was very like familiar feeling of coming back to things being completely new and a lot of fresh faces. And it was so intimidating seeing all of these amazing people's videos pop up after, like, especially mine being up first. I was like, oh God. So I just could really focus in immediately. And absolutely love you guys as a cast. Love playing with you all. I most love the fact that we had so much like drama and flare-ups that were strictly game. It didn't get ugly. It didn't get personal. It was a fun game. I had so much fun playing, and I don't regret what I did at all because I know I can make jury. I've done that before. Like, as much as I want to do that, I want to do it my way. And so my way was aiming at Kayla. If I got taken out for that, I got taken out for that, and I'm happy. So love you all so much. We're going to have the best cast chat ever.
Yeah.
In a few hours. It'll be there. Thank you for coming on, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Bye, Justin.
Bye.
And also, I know Rachel has to go, so I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your game as well and how the night went for you.
Oh my gosh, overall, this was just probably one of the most fun games ever. I think the cast was amazing. I really lucked out with how many people I ended up knowing. But it was, just like Justin said, just like a night of drama and fun. And I feel like it was really good gameplay on a lot of people's parts. So really just thank you, everyone. It was such a great night. And it was so great to kind of like meet everyone and get to work with you. And cannot wait for this group chat.
Absolutely.
Love you, Rachel.
Thank you.
We love Rachel.
You played so well.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, so that took us, as we said, to the now or later round. And this one ended up being a tie. Well, actually, we should talk first about the key. This was where the key, thank God I didn't get the key. I wanted the key, but I felt like that was just literally just such a huge target. What did you see? What did I honestly, a lot of times I don't want to know what Twitter has to say, but what did Twitter say to you?
So before that, like I got the key in round 2, and I was really shocked because half the time when I send stuff, when Audrey or whenever I was doing a private TR was reading the votes, they never see my message. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was very surprised I got it. And I honestly thought it would be like some immunity thing. So I was trying my best to hold it until either the Final 15, just because I want to use it because I don't know if this will ever happen again. But yeah, when I got that, I was kind of freaking out because a lot was happening. I didn't know what to expect. And then when I was told about the Twitter thing, I was like, oh, God. And I was like, okay. So when I looked at it, first thing popped up was, I think it was an ad. It was like, you know how Twitter is. And then I remember it said Louie had 8 LOSs, which I'm like, okay, that's not right now. And then
zero the entire game. Actually, to touch on that really quickly, this was the first time I ever used 2 computers, and the first time I've never gotten an LOS. So don't use.
I remember who said, I think it was Laura. Laura said it. And then they replied back to me saying, I was sorry, I'm drunk. And I'm like, oh, they were drinking. I'm like, it's fine. I knew that was BS. Remember that? I remember seeing Thomas's Brussels sprout thing, which, by the way, Thomas, I'm not a fan of Brussels sprouts. They're disgusting.
They're the best, Keith. Come on.
I'm just not a fan of vegetables cooked unless it's in Chinese food. The only thing that really stood out to me, I think I heard Louie was targeting you, which I don't know if that was true or not. Or going after me, yeah. Not like heavy, but remember seeing that, I believe. I remember seeing the 7-Eleven thing. I do remember that. I think I have any more notes. I put Kayla, Rasmus, and Amanda. I couldn't remember the other people. Some people were just being trolling. People wanted shout outs. I think Renee told me this counted as a draft, a confessional point, so I was excited. All I know is it was a very overwhelming experience because that's just me in general. So was it beneficial for me? Clearly not. But I couldn't really comprehend most of the materials. I didn't know if I was able to write this down because prior Audrey was like, hold your hands up and everything. But yeah, it was interesting. Twitter did really well I'll say shaking things up, but it was interesting. I was just also worried that if I opened up my Twitter, one of my messages might pop up. I'm like, oh no, because I was going like, should I go on secret mode or something, Audrey? I don't want to get kicked out for seeing that much information.
Yeah, I was surprised. Was that the reason that people did target Keith? Because I mean, I didn't.
That's why.
I think there were 8 votes in that round.
For me personally, I was terrified when that twist came up because at that point. What was this? The 7th round?
Yes.
I already have a full page of final twos and alliances from before that round. So I was like, oh my God, if anybody tweets about any of that, he's gonna see it. And then I thought it was screwed also just because I have a couple of friends that tweet way too much about when I play, tweet a lot. So and the thing is, because then I heard that you threw out me and Van, I straight away thought, okay, he saw that I made a final 2 with Van, and that's one of the tweets he saw, and that's why he's throwing it out. I was convinced that was why you threw us out.
No,
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go out on a bullshit twist just because I've been playing hard in the beginning.
Well, to make things worse, because like I said, I was trying to go after previous names and such. To make things worse, I got an LOL stat round as well, and I was really excited. And this is what put more salt to the wound. I did not hear my name at all. I was expecting either you or Van going. And then when Audrey was like, it's time, I'm like, oh God. And her Keith and Van, I was like, crap. And then I remember, I think I was in the room with Louie, can I use my LOS during a tie? He said no. And I was hoping he was like lying to me. So I checked with the chat, and it was a very not fun
that hurt my heart when you asked that. I was like, oh no, that's not good. That's the worst.
Because I never had that experience before, and I was like, crap. But like I said, I didn't remember that much because as for me as a person, I have really bad memory, especially in quick situations. And I feel like the only thing I regret is, like I said, once again, I didn't really hear my name at all. So it was a surprise. And when people were asking me such, I was saying, yeah, people were kind of trolling with the Louie 8OSs and all this other stuff. Or like, hey, Jamie, someone wanted you a shout out. Like, trying to make it seem like it wasn't that much. Because in reality, it wasn't, because the only thing was a 7-Eleven thing. But I didn't know if that was true or not because I don't know my history that well of previous games. So, yeah. I was a lovely victim of something new, and hopefully it never happens again.
I felt bad. Like, so I know, at least in my room, I forget who I started with, but I immediately threw you under the bus, Keith. But the only reason I did is this was probably the first round in a while that I was up, and I was so sketched out by the previous round when, like, okay, the Kayla thing is not working. People seem sketched out. It was the first time I met Jamie, and she, like, pretty clearly, I got the vibe she didn't want to work with me, and I thought I was gonna go. Anyway, I didn't even hear my name the whole round, so I immediately was like, all right, easy reason. Keith had a power. Keith has seen Twitter. God knows what he's seen. Maybe everyone will roll on that. And I know at the end, I really debated actually voting, and I had saved all my votes, so I had all my bank votes, and I was literally this close to not voting, and I really would have felt like a jerk if I had not voted, but I did, and I felt bad, but it was, apparently it was right. It was
it is what it is. Like, I'm like, it's part of the game and such. Maybe I should have handled better. Maybe I should have told Twitter to send me good stuff, or at least cat pictures. That would have been nice to see. But
yeah, I mean, if you knew what the key was, would you have gone for it?
Probably not, or I would have gotten it and not used it. Because my initial thing was, I asked Audrey, I was like, can I use it any time around? Because when I was initially going to use it when I felt like I was in danger, and I thought it would be like an immunity. Maybe I'll go to a room and bring all the people, like bring 2 or 3 people who I wanted to be safe, and we'll just be stuck in that room, but we'll be safe for that round. Be like a safety house. That's why I thought. But then somehow I got to Final 15. I was like, you know what? It'll be really... I got to double check. I don't know if I said I was going to use it, or Audrey was like, you know what? We're going to make you use it. I think I did, but I didn't want to go to waste. But like I said, if I knew it and I felt comfortable at Final 15 and nothing was revealed, I probably wouldn't have used it, knowing that outcome.
Keith, I actually really liked you in the game, and I sorry, Van, but I actually used all my 4 votes on him that round because I saved all my bank votes, and I didn't hear your name till like 30 seconds before the round ended, and I was like, wait, I understand people want to take him out because of the information he may have received, but he hasn't told me anything, and I wanted to know if you actually knew something. But yeah, it was really unfortunate.
I also remember like the shields and such. Like I said, it was very overwhelming, and if people saw how I was, I get overwhelmed real easily. Like, I'm kind of blessed that I didn't hear my name during that initial round. Well, I would have used my LOS, of course. But I think that was another issue I had because I thought I could use the LOS during a tie. I was like, okay, we're good. And then I got the information. I was like, after I clicked out the room and I was going to another one, I was like, well, time to freak out. And then I think I jumped in a room with Van. Yeah. And because I honestly don't remember what I was doing. It was a horrible attempt of me trying to save my butt. It was, and then we only had like 45 seconds, which felt like 10 seconds to me. So
it was so terrible. We kept ending up in the same rooms, and there was nothing we could do but just like, hey, like I'm like, hey, vote out Keith, and Keith's like, hey, vote Van, like, and we were just following each other room to room. Like it was all good.
The only 2 names I heard that round were Van and Keith, and I wasn't voting Van out because Van, you were in my starting room, so it was like, sorry, Keith.
And
I said that I would not vote Van out, and I wasn't going to vote him out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, if I had a clearer mind, maybe I would have used it wisely. Maybe I would have revealed the 7-Eleven thing. But also, there were people I liked in there. Like I was still sticking with Amanda because I thought like our room alliance could still happen, even though I did vote out Justin the round before. I think the biggest thing I found out, like I was like kind of sad but understand. I found out Jamie voted for me. And I was really gutted for a good couple minutes because that was the one thing about me in this game. If I make the effort to say something, especially like a final twist like that, I really mean it. And I was really hoping to go far with that, but I think I understand her decision. It's crappy. And I wasted my votes on Sindri, which guess no one wanted to do that.
Yeah. It was interesting. That was one of the things I didn't vote because I used all my votes the round before. So I only had one vote. And I was like, so many people are going to use all the remaining banked votes that they had that my one vote isn't going to make a difference anyway. And as it turned out, somehow it ended up being a tie, which is crazy that one vote would have decided who went home. And I honestly don't know who I would have voted for there, but I'm curious what the tie was, if it was like 12-12 or something, because so many people must have been using with 8 people and banked votes. Like it was a very high vote, and the odds that it tied were very small.
And the only reason why I use my bank votes, not because I know people saying strategy, if you hear your name, you need a vote for now or later. The only reason why I voted for that round is because I had those bank votes, and it would be a shame for me to be like, I use that strategy well in my mind to just be like, whatever, just gum away. So, it was crappy, but I did.
How was your experience overall?
Overall, like I said, I told you initially, Louie, when I was in the room, I think it was you and Kayla, or maybe it was Rachel. I wanted to get a jury, and then after that, we'll see, because that was like my main goal, because I'm slowly getting close to it, but I didn't. But I had fun. Like I left the game not feeling sad. Yeah, I went to the bathtub and not cry, but just yelled for a good 5 minutes. But it was more of the alcohol in me. But I had fun. I played the best I can. And as I said before, I'm very grateful for these opportunities for any game I get to play, either in public, on Patron, or private minis. It's always fun. It's a good distraction and such. And, you get to see a better perspective of everything. And I had fun, and I'm excited for that group chat that I will spam you, Louie, if you don't make it.
I swear to you, as soon as this is done, give me 15 minutes, I'll put it together.
But yeah, like I said, it was great. I'm very happy to be a part of this community and just have another family and get to know each other, you guys, in a non-game level. Because remember, game is just temporary, but these relationships will last forever, or until Twitter shuts down. But I'm very blessed, and I enjoyed it, and I got to check off a couple more boxes. Maybe next time I could freaking use the LOS. Maybe I'll be like, hey, since I left with an LOS, can I take it with me to the next game? And I still stand for LOS plushies, if Audrey's going to think about that for merch. But
thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Now that brought us to round 8, which I would say was probably, for me, the most stressful round. So this was a wheel, and it was you entered a number. That's how many times your name was.
Oh no!
Oh, wait, no.
Wait, I thought it was
later.
Oh, we have later first. Yeah, let's do later first.
Yeah.
I didn't write down anything
I
for
was
you.
about to say, my elimination could not have been your most stressful round. There's no way.
I was gonna say that too.
So this, it seemed like basically everybody kind of just piled on the other name here, which was immediately everybody just said, well, that's the easy way to go. Let's just get another round in. I don't think I really heard much else other than Van in this round.
There wasn't anything.
I heard just Van, Sindri, and Lefebvre, but I wasn't going to do Lefebvre for sure because I trusted him a lot.
I was pushing James to anyone that would listen, but I forget. Someone told me to do James. I don't even remember who, but I knew I was done. Like I just didn't get the sense that people really wanted to like play with me. And again, I knew my video was like garbage, so I was really surprised to have made it as far as I did. And I heard one name. I think I initially threw Lefebvre under the bus to Louie, just because I had heard your name a couple times and maybe people would roll. And then someone told me James, and I scrambled, but I knew it was. I knew once I was in the tie, it was over.
I only heard Van and Lefebvre, and again, you were both in my starting room, and I wasn't going to write your name. I actually did not vote that round.
Yeah. I was hanging out with Kayla the entire round because we were 2 of the 7 people that had a vote, and she was saying your name and she was pushing your name, so I just went along with it.
I don't know why. It
was very straightforward.
I mean, I threw it, but all good.
Van, what did you think? How did you? I mean, despite the fact that you didn't think your video was good, you went a while. I mean, you did pretty well in this game.
Yeah, it was. I had a ton of fun. This was my third time out. I played a month and a half back. I got a little closer in that game. I still haven't made jury 3 times out. So maybe if there's ever a round 4, maybe I'll finally make the jury. But I had a ton of fun with you guys, and this was, it's always so great to play these. So yeah, y'all have a great rest of your day, and hit me up for that Twitter chat.
I did appreciate that we got alone in a room at one point and got the modern baseball reference out there, because as soon as I saw you, I was like, okay, I need to bring that up to him because that will bond us. But
100%. Yeah. But no, it's all good. Nothing but love for me. So
all right, thank you for coming on, Van.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to the round that I was talking about, the most stressful round of all time. Now, I don't know what everyone else was doing for this. I was in a room alone the entire time, and it was miserable. And I just kept seeing Sindri's name come on the wheel and him continually not giving me safety as I screamed on mute, like literally screamed on mute until it finally landed on me. And then I began screaming, pick Malcolm, over and over and over again until like the final round.
I think the only reason why I got safety that round was because it landed on Jamie. And first, Audrey was skipping Jamie to pick someone. I almost unmuted. I think Ramses actually did. I'm like, you need to get to Jamie. And then Jamie was like, who's left? And I'm like, me, pick me. And that was also the round because, like Sindri said, he had like a lot of final 2s. But because the wheel landed on him twice, he first picked Jamie, then he picked Migs, which then told me, okay, Sindri's not serious with me, so that's essentially going to have to be done. But yeah.
I thought Sindri, I figured when I realized what the twist was, I thought I was dead, because obviously I figured people would pick other people in their room because they're looking directly at them and not. Did you pick everybody you picked? Were they in the room with you?
No, only Megs was in the room with me.
Wow.
Yeah, Sindri and Vivian weren't actually in my room, and they did not pick me at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I'm so screwed here.
So Sindri, where were your loyalties then? Like, were those people the closest to you in terms of why you picked them?
I don't know. Like, it's hard when you have that many people you want to play with. I don't know. I was hoping not to be picked at all after I got saved myself because I didn't want to expose anything. But I felt like the most important thing was to not expose that I was playing with Louie. I thought that was the most important thing. So I was never going to pick Louie unless it was the last choice.
I could have went home.
Yes. But I wasn't going home. But yeah, I thought Jamie, I had full control. I felt 100% that she would do whatever I wanted, because I had been alone in a room with her so many times. And then I picked Migs because, again, also I was maybe 3 or 4 times alone with Migs, so we could constantly reaffirm that we were playing together, and I trusted him 100%. And I thought he would have my back, and that really paid off at final 6 when he refused to vote for me. So it was all about more who will absolutely refuse to let me go. And I thought the top 2 on that list would be Jamie and Migs. My next one would probably have been Louie or Malcolm at that point. But the thing was, I hadn't really seen Malcolm since I made the deal and couldn't really reaffirm it even more. So that's why Jamie and Migs were further up on that list.
Yeah, that was a hard one. There was so much luck because it wasn't even that many people picking. It seemed like the majority, far more than you'd expect, got safety just based upon landing on the wheel. There weren't too many people picking. Amanda, you didn't really have much of a shot either way. Just your name just didn't come up. What number did you pick?
11. I picked 11.
Wow.
And I did not get picked at all. I have no idea how that happened. It was just rotten luck, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, to be fair, I wasn't a huge fan. Also because I had a panic attack during it. But it's hard to. There was so much luck involved.
And then
I was
you're
the
picking
entire
one.
time Louie is going crazy.
Yeah, I picked one.
Picking him. Louie is not going to be happy that I'm not picking him.
No, I hope somebody capped my reaction when I did get picked because
Yes.
I went insane. I would.
There's so many moments in this game where I just can't wait to look back at it because there are a lot of things I feel like I didn't see that were like really fun.
I've already started doing that.
Yeah. Like
I am glad I was muted for all of it because people probably would have thought I was a crazy person.
I had to like cover my mouth when I was saying, come on, oh my god, fucking pick me, pick me. And like, because I was with Kayla and Rachel, the 7-Eleveners, we were like, oh yes, this room's awesome. And it was just like slowly watching my fate be sealed.
Yeah, that round was so stressful for me, and I think I just got lucky because Mix was in my room, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
and we
I
kind of
had to make that final decision, and that I forgot that I was making the final decision. So that's why I had like absolutely no hesitation picking. But on top of that, like I think in that moment it only really came down to just James being in the room with me.
Yeah, I knew I was screwed.
And plus, like even before then, like me and James had briefly talked, and like we were just like, hey, I'm gonna have your back, you'll have mine, and we'll be hopefully good. So there was that, and I'm sorry that I did not pick you, Amanda, but I honestly loved playing with you. So just like everyone else here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda, I mean, I told you this already. I wish we got more time together in the game because I feel like of everyone, you were probably the person I saw the least, and we never really got into a room together at all alone. But what was the, you basically just got unlucky, but what was your experience for the game?
I thought it was, so I've only played minis twice. I got 14th in 7-Eleven, 13th in this one. So you know what? Improvement. And I thought this one was a lot more fun for me personally because in 7-Eleven, my name was always being brought up and I just could not really relax and, work on, social bonds. And, in this game, I feel like I got to bond more with people and, just chill. And I was like, Vivian, you have such a cute accent. Oh my God. And LaFave, your name is so cool, And I got to work on those rather than, freak out and, be like trying to defend my name. And so I'm glad I didn't get voted out because it's another iconic way to go out. And yeah, I cannot wait for the group chat.
Coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye, Amanda.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, so that brought us to the best friend bounty round, which obviously, if you knew what the round was, you wouldn't vote for your best friend, but we did not. I personally voted Kayla. Kayla voted for me, and then that was never really an option of going after each other. Who did everyone else pick as their best friend?
I think
I
I
picked
picked
you, Louie.
picked James.
I picked Jamie. That's
I picked Vivian because she just saved me in the round before and we had our little room alliance. And before then, my name had gone around so much and I just didn't really think I had anybody. So I was like, there we go.
I picked Kayla.
I also chose Jamie.
Oh, your audio is very off.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
You're like a robot.
sound like a robot.
I picked LaFave. I know, and it was weird because like once I learned what the twist was, I was like, "Oh God, I don't want him to go." So I told Jamie that I picked her because I was like, I don't think people are going to vote Jamie, and I know when in doubt, LaFave is going to be targeted because he's been targeted a couple of rounds. So I feared that if I was to push LaFave, that people may be inclined not to vote for him. So I thought it could have just happened naturally.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did anybody consider seriously after they did it, then immediately going after their person?
Yes.
Well, I did I only did just because I remember Megs was like Jamie, and then I think Vivian was like, yeah, I haven't spoken to her at all. And I was like, well, she's my bounty. I don't mind. And I think it was just kind of like, it was kind of unfortunate because I made like a triple J alliance with Joshua and Jamie. And I was just like, oh, I really like Jamie. But then she didn't save me that one round. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go after her or not. But then they threw out her name. So I was like, I'll just do it. I don't care at this point. I was just trying to save myself and just try to make it to jury. But it didn't work out, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I thought that it would possibly be like if you both choose each other, you'll be safe or something like that. So I was trying to choose the person I thought would choose me. So I chose Jamie from the people that, because I thought about Louie for a second, but then I was like, yeah, he's definitely picking Kayla over me. And I also thought Mix would not pick me because I felt like he has had a lot of close alliances. So I picked Jamie because I felt she was the closest to me. When they revealed the twist, I thought that I was okay with her going, but I could never say that because I thought then that would be brought to her and I would be in trouble. So I refused to say that, but straight away some other people said that. I was kind of shocked, and I just kind of stayed quiet the whole round, trying to just say like okay, but never confirming anything. And then I voted for Jamie both rounds. Mainly, even though she was one of my closest allies, I looked at the board of who was left in the cast, and I saw. I thought that I was in trouble of a drag with a lot of individuals there, and also if it was a history can't repeat, that I thought people might vote for me. It sounds like my name was a bit more maybe put down than I thought in those beginning rounds, but I just thought like if I can get myself past the next round and the drag by sacrificing one of my closest allies, I looked at the board as well and thought I have more allies here and I can like make up for it.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the rounds I worked the hardest. Not in the first part, but when it went to a tie. I was so afraid after that last wheel situation. I was so scarred that it wasn't a matter of like Jamie or James. It was just like, make sure it's one name because I cannot go on a wheel again. I was petrified. So like I was running to every round possible, pushing James as soon as I heard that the majority was on that, just to make sure it didn't go to a wheel.
Yeah, I feel like I was in a win-win situation because I had originally thrown out Jamie's name. But I also had James as my bounty because the way that Audrey worded that question, she wanted us to give very valuable information, and I knew it was going to be exploited in some way. And if it wasn't for that, I actually would have put down Sindri because I felt like I had trusted him the most. But I knew I could still somewhat mean it if I were to put down James because, again, I had given him the safety in the previous round. Mm-hmm. And then, well, afterwards, James was voted out, so I was going to jury. So there's that.
It was so unfortunate because I felt like I was playing at least like a decent game, especially from like my previous 619 game. And then once I kind of heard at the end, I remember like I walked into a room and Malcolm said my name. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And like usually my original cast, they always tell me that like I'm the cat with like 9 lives because it takes me so long to get out. And I'm just like, I guess that kind of saying is gonna be broken today if it's gonna be like my first time my name's thrown out there. But
yeah, in a few rounds earlier, I don't remember what round it was, but I mentioned your name to my room, and then they started to spread it a little bit, and that's how I think it kind of got started. And then I did tell Kayla and Louie at one point that we need to get James out eventually because if he finds out that I said his name, I'm screwed. So that when that round came, I just told Kayla, please help me get James out. And then the other people, they came in room number 1. So me and Kayla just stayed in room number 1. For everyone who came there, that wasn't you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, we said your name.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't hear my name in the beginning often, but I mean, it's all fine.
I know for that round, I feel like that was a round where I was hearing no names at first. And then the last name I heard first was James. Because I think that might have been the round. Maybe it was like me and Vivian that was there. And we were like, we should split. And let's see what happens. But I kept on getting room limited. Then it wasn't until the end where I voted James. And then when it became a tie between you and Jamie, I was like, well, I have to stick with what I voted for. And I'm going to stick with James. And I felt awkward when you came into the room and you were like, please don't vote for me. And I was like, no, we're voting James.
Yeah, well, no, I heard you say my name and I was just like, I don't know if I can curse, but I was like, oh, I can't. Okay. I was just like, oh, fuck. But also I knew when I was up against Jamie, I was just like, it was so hard when I was having to push it in because I really did trust her with that whole like Triple J alliance I made. But I was just like, I had to do what I had to do. And I think I remember seeing some people that made it like final 6 or something, the puzzle rounds. I think I saw people's votes and they actually originally voted for Jamie, then flipped to my name. So I don't know how it would have worked out if people were potentially still pushing Jamie instead of me. But yeah, so.
It was.
I was trying.
I thought it might flip on Jamie because I was in a room with Mix when the round started again, and we agreed that he would flip over to Jamie from James because I had voted for Jamie, but he hadn't. But like, I think I was so conflicted in this round because I felt so bad because I connected so much with Jamie, but I felt like the gamer in me told me you have to get her out to be safe to jury. Like you have enough alliances here that you can't feel too bad like letting go of one of them. But I was like literally like I just couldn't get myself to like do it aggressively enough. So when I came into one room and they were all saying, "Yeah, we're probably doing James," I couldn't get it out of me to say no. I think more people are doing Jamie or whatever. So even though like everything in me like said like my head said you need to get Jamie out here, but I really couldn't get myself to like do it aggressively enough.
I was really sorry.
Go ahead.
I was really trying to get Jamie out that round. I think that was the round I told Vivian that Jamie was throwing out her name in a previous
You
round.
did tell me that. Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, she was throwing my name out.
Yeah, and then when Louie came into the room with both of us and was like, "No, we need to vote for James," that's when I was like, I didn't really think that there was any traction to get Jamie out, but I kind of wish I just pushed it a little bit more.
I was with you. I wanted to get Jamie out after I heard that, and then I was like, "Yeah, we're not going to get anywhere with this."
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like with me, I don't even think about it. It's like I've made my mind up. That's it. I'm not going to overanalyze this. There's too much. Like I'm listening to you, the strategy and everything. I'm like, and my mind is blown. I'm just like, no, I've made my decision. That's it. Like,
I mean, a lot of times that's the better way to do it.
I'll tell you, sometimes because it's not so stressful. Seriously, like that's it. I've done it. I own it. It's done. Like it's not personal, people. That's it. It's just a game.
Do I sound better now?
So much better.
You sound amazing.
Perfect. So James,
you sound like yourself.
What were your thoughts on the game? I know you played 619 and then you played the 619 5-8 battle thing. Were those the only games?
I've done 619 Latinx, the showdown, and then this is my second patron ever. So yeah, it was honestly really fun this time around. I would say that my first game and even my the people in my original mini that I started in, they've always been like, yeah, it definitely wasn't your best game. And I agree. I really was scared that game. It was my first time around. I definitely coasted the hell out of that game. And I mean, despite me not making jury this time around, because I did make jury in my first game, I felt like I did a lot more. I was definitely pushing out names. I wasn't afraid to say that, I was hearing this, hearing that. And I was very, very happy to see how far I made it, just because I did kind of feel like with the stacked cast that I was scared that I was potentially going to be kind of first, not first boo, but definitely one of early pre-jury. But and I was glad that I was able to play on yesterday, just because I will definitely not be able to play any mini, even privates, for the next couple 3, 4, 6 months. I don't know. Oh, wow. So maybe season 4 I'll come back, but I just can't with uni starting, and I was very lucky and fortunate to be able to participate now. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
All right, peace out, y'all.
Thanks, James.
Love.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brought us to the drag round. This is also when I stopped taking notes completely because apparently I decided to start playing.
Yeah, and I literally after round 8, it just stopped. I just wrote round 8.
We stopped the notes at the same time. Apparently, we both knew when it was time to.
I was just like, okay, I just gotta stop and just put my head in the game.
For all those people out there who love to take notes, not necessarily needed. I know some people like to take copious amounts of notes. I say it every time. You don't have to. You can do just fine without any notes and just talking a lot.
Yeah, my notes are almost always just this person went out this round and nothing else.
Yeah, so this was the drag round, I believe, and this is what resulted in Rasmus's elimination and dragging of LaFave. So this is the one time I threw my vote because we had a tie here, right? This was a tie between a lot after the public.
A lot of people, 7 people.
Yeah, 7-person tie.
Or something like that.
Who got the public? Was that common knowledge? Do we know who got the LOS?
Yeah, the public LOS I think was Jack Williams, who played in my first mini, and he played it on Rasmus.
Yeah.
So that was chaotic.
Yeah. Honestly, Rasmus's elimination was one of the strangest I've ever seen.
I have that going. Okay. I'll start off. When the round started, I was in a room with Louie and Kayla, and Louie asked me, like, very, it's just very straightforward. Who are we targeting this round, Rasmus? And I was looking at the graphics, and I didn't know. And then he was like, whatever. And then he just left. And then I knew, okay, Louie got annoyed with me right now for not saying anything. And I think you started telling people to throw my name. I don't know because I haven't watched the.
Yeah, that was what I heard. My strategy in a drag round is to say as little as possible. I don't like to say too much for fear of them dragging me. So I kind of just tried to get an idea of who everyone else was saying, which was you, and then I tried to get as many votes as possible to pile on that, and then threw my vote on Sindri.
Yeah,
okay, so you actually
I threw my vote on Louie.
Oh, look at
well.
that!
And the thing is, my thought the whole time, the thing is, the difference between this game and some of my other games was the fact that I did not have as much control at certain points that I've had before because there were so many really good players that were thinking for themselves. That it was such a good cast that I didn't have the same control in targeting people. So it was much more about trying to create as much protection around me as possible, and then self-preservation. So when it came to this round, nobody wanted to say a name. So I thought, okay, who can I vote for who won't drag me? And either they don't go out and I'll just tempting fate. I could people could throw votes on me, but at least if I voted for the person that ended up being thrown the most on, that person would not drag me. And I was convinced Louie would never drag me, and I'm guessing he was thinking the same. If I throw on Sindri and he goes,
you would know if I voted for you, it was a thrown vote and that I didn't mean to do it. And
I would have never dragged you, and I think you would have never dragged me. So we thought the same
Final Four. But yeah, how was everyone else in this round? Was everybody thinking similarly?
No. So for me, I received an LOS at the final 12, which was very exciting. So I know because I got fucking LOS'd out at 9, which we'll get to in a few, I guess. But my thought process was, okay, I chose, I think it was me and Vivian again. I feel like we were in the room a lot together. We were I was like, well, that gate, because I had an LOS, I was like, all right, I need to make sure, I know people are going to be throwing votes. I can't have that happen. We need to land on somebody, because then at least for me, I can save my LOS for the drag. So I told Vivian, I was like, I think Ramses, because I just haven't seen him out of all the remaining players. And then Louie came in and was like, we all need to throw our votes on on one person. And I was like, yep, absolutely, co-sign that, agree with that. Yep. Let's do Rasmus.
Yep. Okay, so that's how it started. Interesting.
I did not hear Rasmus's name at all.
I only heard Kayla, and she was the only person that didn't receive any votes. Well, that were up because Migs was safe. So and everyone was so scared of voting Kayla, but her name was thrown out a lot. And then when the tie happened, I felt like it was also a bit unlucky. Sure, the audience LOS was played on me, and then not a single other person got more than one vote. So I feel like that was very unlucky.
Yeah, I forget who voted in the revote. I think I might have voted Rachel in the revote.
I voted Sindri in the revote.
I voted Sindri as well.
I voted Louie in the revote.
I voted for myself.
You forced the tie.
I voted Louie.
Twice. It is crazy that managed to happen 2 times. Public LOS. I don't know how we managed to tie that again. The odds of that.
I was hoping for a tie. So I went into a room by myself, and I think I did a confessional the whole round. I was just I'm praying for another tie. I won because I thought no way Kayla drags me and no way Rasmus drags me if I'm not a vote against them. No way they will ever do that. So I'm just I need these people to go on the wheel, and sure, I'll lose one of them, but they won't drag me. And then I just voted for Louie again because, again, I thought he would never drag me as well. I was just trying to get that.
I voted for myself to try and force a tie. I mean, I did.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
that was something I tried to pull, and I forget who was in the room, but as soon as we unmuted, my strategy, I was hoping
there.
people
I remember
wouldn't get
discussing
onto it. I told everyone when we unmuted, everybody vote for themselves, it'll go to a wheel. Knowing that Kayla and Rasmus would have a vote and they wouldn't vote for me, and if everybody went along and voted for themselves, I would throw my vote on someone else, and hopefully Kayla and Rasmus would throw their vote on somebody else, and I would be safe. But I guess somebody said it. Maybe it was you, Josh. It was like, no, Kayla and Rasmus vote.
I said it wouldn't work. But also, if it would, I tell you now, there was zero chance you're getting me to vote for myself, unless it's highest even votes. Unless there's like a reason why the twist means it should make sense to vote for yourself. I ain't voting for myself. Why am I?
Yeah.
I tried.
That's Josh. I was like, when Josh was like, no, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a no too, because that doesn't make sense. And again, my thought process was like, I needed to land on someone that's not me. So because when in doubt, if I was to get dragged, I had my LOS to save myself.
Yeah.
Sorry for voting for you twice, Malcolm.
And this is where in the revote, this is where I made a. Now looking back at it, I made a mistake because people were telling me, okay, in the revote, let's go for Sindri. And I was thinking, oh well, I guess you are a flop, so you guess you need to try to save yourself. But then again, the flops wanted a tie, most of them. So I guess they were just telling me that. So I was very close to write Sindri's name, and then I changed it at the last second. And had I voted for Sindri, I think you would have been eliminated, Sindri, because I think there was a lot of 2-2 votes there in the revote. And then I just in the last second I was like, no, because what if he drags me? I didn't know what you were gonna do. So then I thought maybe he has the majority anyways. So then, stupid of me, I threw my vote again and that made a tie.
Yeah, that's also one of the benefits to making a lot of close, like one-on-one deals, because people will be scared that you drag them if they think that, like, oh, they think I'm their closest person in the game, so they might drag me.
So Rasmus, talk to us a little bit about how you made the drag decision.
Okay, this was basically, I know that it's not maybe the nice thing to do, but for a few rounds, because Kayla was my number one, and when I came into this community, she was one of the first people that embraced me because we were both very, very new to the whole thing. And she had been very open with who she wanted out for a few rounds. So I decided to drag that person to try to help Kayla. And that's it.
Kayla missed. It is there.
Fair.
It is prevalent.
And I
had no idea that Kayla was even coming after me. Like, I think the whole game I was just kind of in survival mode and just trying to like make connections that were going to kind of insulate me. And I felt like I was going to get dragged anyways, to be honest. So
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, and I don't know how often someone has to drag someone in Final 11 without having anyone vote for them. I don't know how often that happens.
Never, basically, pretty much.
Yeah,
I'm just glad I was safe that round.
Yeah, it was a good round to be safe. LaFave, I feel like we didn't see each other basically at all within the game, like very few times, but you know, a couple times, but it was rare. I knew what a good player you were going in, and when I saw you, I was like, okay, well, this is good. Like, we have some sort of a connection, kind of, and I knew we would probably have each other's back for the most part, at least for a decent way. But
definitely, I felt the same way, and I was really trying to find the people that I could get into like really quick conversations, walk something down, and I felt like they were good, and we could kind of get to a resolution quick. So, like, you were one of those people, Vivian was one of those people, Rachel, Migs, like, I always had, like, people that I could come talk to, but I think at the end of the day, I wasn't in a solid enough alliance that was really going to keep me safe. But I was kind of hoping that if I got to jury, like, people were going to kind of go after, like, the bigger targets, and maybe I would just kind of be able to fade into the background and kind of, like, play from the bottom, but that kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, I think you're unlucky to get dragged there, to be honest. I think you were.
I don't think it also helped that we were all in the room with Rasmus when he got the vote.
That was my point. It was going to be one. I looked. I thought it's going to be one of us in the room. It's going to be one of us in the room because he's looking at us. He's with us.
Oh my god!
One of us.
I'm not gonna lie, I was in a room by myself while Rasmus was choosing someone to drag, and I was just dancing.
I was in my
Just
I was
I
doing the
was-
exact same thing. I was in the room the whole time, and the second I saw the wheel, I just started celebrating and dancing because I'm like, okay, no way I'm going here. All good.
That wheel
Having a
was
good
so
time.
close. That wheel was like within a
I was
millimeter.
I'm sorry, but I was praying it would be Kayla. I really wanted Kayla to go.
Me too.
No, same
Mainly
here.
because, like, I knew Louie, like, I knew, of course, you wanted to work with me, but like Kayla was your number one, and I believed that. And I thought, like, I need Kayla out as soon as possible because I need Louie to myself. And so I really wanted Kayla to go that round.
Yeah.
Hugging Louie. Yeah.
I did not want Kayla to get wheeled out there. I was scared that there's a I thought Rasmus isn't going to drag me, but I thought Kayla might. It's something that, especially given how Private Winners all went down, I thought there's a possibility that Kayla could drag me here just for why not. So I was thinking when Rasmus went home, I thought perfect periods. Although I did like
thank you.
Rasmus.
So Rasmus, how was your night overall playing the game?
The night was good. I will just quickly say that when I played in 7-Eleven the first time, I had watched not even one full game, and I was very new. I didn't do anything, and then I was out pretty early. I was standing in my apartment alone in the middle of the night, and it was very sad because of the time difference. So it was in the middle of the night. So this time I've been applied for since the 1st of August. That's when I started applying again, and I've been waiting until now to try again. And I was very happy that I got to feel a bit more safe this time, talk to people, actually focus more on having fun. So overall, it was a great night, and I feel like the way I went out, it was iconic in its own way. So I can't be anything but content with everything that happened.
There really were a lot of like epic ways that people went out in this game. Like nothing was really straightforward. Everything got more and more complicated.
Yes.
Freaky Friday.
And one final thing. I going out because me going out basically saved Sindri that round, and since Sindri ended up winning, also being from Iceland and from Sweden, I feel like it's a kind of cool thing. Like there's not that many people in the community from our part of the world. So I was actually very happy that Sindri then managed to take it all the way. So then it was totally worth it going out that round.
Thank you, Rasmus. Yeah, I really wanted to play with you like much longer than like I wanted that like Scandinavian all the way, but unfortunately it didn't go that way.
Really,
Yeah,
I feel
cool.
like this
It was so fun playing
of
with
the Patron Minis, this has to be one of the most international Patron Minis of all time.
Yeah,
right?
we have
It's
3
got-
international people in the final 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What about you, Lefebvre?
This was incredible. This was only my second mini. The first one that I played, it was like a private mini with a bunch of new players. So this felt like my first like real go at it. I'm I guess like a little bit about me. Like I do have like a little bit of anxiety, so even getting like on Zoom calls like kind of freaks me out. So having my name go out round 1 and then like being able to get as far as I did, I'm really proud of myself and I'm proud of how I played. So I think at the end of the day, like I'm just really happy that I met you guys and I'm really happy that I got to play as hard as I did. So it was an amazing experience and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
We're best
also,
friends
quick
now.
side note. Yeah,
Best
literally
friend.
quick side
Yeah.
note, like Louie telling me that I played a good game, like I'm fangirling like the house down. So
You're great, Lefebvre.
Definitely.
And I really wanted to work with you.
Yeah, if you didn't go out, then like I would have like tried to talk to you more because like I knew we had that whole dance party thing going on. So like it was there was a point when like me, Lefebvre, and Rachel, and maybe once in a while either Sindri or Josh would also be there, and like we were just dancing. This is
So
just altering
good.
the voting music. It was so fun.
Thank you both
Yeah,
for
I had
coming on.
time of my life. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. All right, so that takes us into the jury round. So let's talk a little bit about Final 9. This was, of all the votes, this was probably the one that caught me the most off guard. Because Malcolm, I didn't hear your name
I didn't
once, not a single time. I started in a room of 5, and I was like, okay, well, this 5 is majority. We're all just going to lock in on a name, and we're getting to the next round. And that name we decided on was Miggs, because I was told, I forget who told me, maybe it was Sindri. Somebody told me that you had thrown my name out there, which was the first time I had heard my name going out there. So I was like, we need to end this quickly. So I said we should all just vote Miggs, and then we spread out. But you had an LOS. Now, I thought the other name that I heard was Josh, but it ended up randomly being Malcolm. So how did that come out there, and how did that end up happening?
Okay, so obviously I played my LOS. I got the LOS in the History Can't Repeat round. So, like, as soon as I got it, I knew I had to play it because obviously I had the mindset that round that, like, I never had votes, but I know it would be a good time to get me out. So I, like, played my LOS. And the reason why I voted for Malcolm is because, like, out of all the people I, like, quote-unquote worked with, like, he was, like, the person I felt the furthest away from. Despite Jamie being there, which kind of contradicts what I just said now. But, like, on top of that, I also did hear Josh's name going around, though I wasn't willing to do that. And I forgot if I had told Josh that his name was going around. But either way, I did tell him that, like, I was thinking of voting Malcolm. And I guess we both voted the same way. And it worked.
I didn't vote for Malcolm that round.
Oh, you didn't?
No, nor did
Oh,
I.
never mind then.
I voted for Louie that
so
round. I couldn't vote for Malcolm. I couldn't vote for Malcolm.
No, I couldn't
Okay,
vote for Malcolm either.
Oh my. Okay, I really don't know who voted Malcolm with me then.
No, I don't. I've been trying to work that out all day. Like,
How did Jamie vote?
I would have assumed Jamie voted me because, you know, we had the whole thing. I love you, Jamie, though. If you're watching, I love you.
Yeah, I tried in this round. I wanted to get Vivian out in this round because I had the least connection to her. But I was getting a lot of pushback on it, mainly from Miggs. Like, I threw it out to Miggs, and he was like, no, that doesn't work. And he threw out Jamie. And I was just like, okay, let's see what other people are saying, because I didn't want Jamie out. So I went into the next room. They all said, yeah, it's definitely Miggs. And they just wouldn't say any other name. So when it came to the voting, I was thinking, like, I can't not vote for Miggs here, because if I throw it on Vivian, like, that's not going to mean anything. And what if someone in another room decided, okay, let's put a couple of votes on Sindri or whatever? Like, I just couldn't risk not putting my vote on Miggs. So I did put my vote on Miggs.
I will say this, though. The funny part about, like, me playing this LOS, though, is that, like, I came from last week being tech evac. Then I got an LOS. I played it successfully. But also, I think, speaking on top of that, though, I've obviously addressed this on Twitter, and I've addressed this to Malcolm himself, but, like, I also realized when I was in the room with Malcolm when he got out, I celebrated a bit way too hard. All right, wow, I didn't word that correctly, but I think I might have celebrated a bit too hard on the fact that I played an LOS to the point where it kind of did make me look bad. Because even though I did vote you out, I didn't want to be disrespectful, and, like, I'm glad, like, we talked it over, so there was that whole thing. And honestly, you're a cool dude. I mean, like, I also, it was really tough, because, like, you are also a fellow music person. I mean, you played alto sax, and I had a brief stint playing alto sax in middle school, but, like, on top of that, like, I play a bunch of other instruments, and I think people know that already. But
your videos, iconic.
Yeah.
I told you your videos
some
are
of the
iconic.
best. Some of the best.
yeah, the video from last night in particular actually took me, like, the longest, because for one thing, I was rapping, and that's not, even though I do listen to a lot of rap, and, like, I guess I could say I love rhythm, I just don't I don't often write raps, and I don't know, I felt like I took this one very seriously, and this had to go into, like, songwriting, and I guess also musicality, because I had like that one moment in my intro video where the backup vocals, you just heard them, what? Like, I worked so hard specifically for that moment, and although I could have made that moment a little louder, it still popped. It still had the effect, and, well, on top of that, sometimes I tend to credit my game on my intro videos because I honestly don't think I could make it far if it weren't for my intro videos. Even though people have told me otherwise, I still tend to think.
I mean, they
think of it
really
that
do
way.
help. If you have a good intro
Yeah.
video, you're safe at least 4 rounds. Like that is just, it goes without saying. If you can have a good intro video, you're not going to be targeted early.
And I think, yeah.
I'm just going back to it again. Have you actually worked out who voted for Malcolm? Because I just still can't fathom
Yeah.
that.
So Mix.
All I
you
know is
voted
that
for
I
Malcolm,
did it.
right?
I think
Yeah,
Mix
maybe
was,
you
it
were
sounds
only-
like he was a solo vote.
Yeah, I think everybody voted for Mix.
Everybody else voted for
No.
Mix.
I voted for Louie.
I didn't. I
No.
voted for Josh.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were safe, to be
There
honest.
must be one stray Malcolm vote.
Yeah, there's one other. Who else is around? It could have been Kayla or Jamie.
I just didn't think Josh was going home, so I thought that's safe. I'm going to vote. He's not going to go.
Rachel, maybe?
Or
What's
Rachel.
so
yeah.
funny is that
It could have been Rachel actually, because like I think I also do remember throwing out Malcolm to her. So
Oh, that makes sense.
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably what it was. So it was
What's
two-
funny though is that round in particular, I remember it starting, and again, it started with Vivian, and I'm like, all right, who can you not vote for? And Vivian was like, I don't know, and I was like, well, I think we need to look at Louie and Kayla seriously now, because like if there's a time to get out like this pair that's not going to get broken up, right? Like Louie's never going after Kayla, Kayla's never going after Louie. We need to get one of them out of here. And Vivian's like, what about Migs? And I was like, Migs? What?
And I didn't vote for you, Migs. I voted for Josh because I definitely thought he was safe. So I thought that's a safe.
So I was like, okay, me and Vivian, we're not agreeing on this. I was like, okay, we're also only 2 people. That's not going to work. So Vivian, you go to 3, I go to 1. Let's see what happens. And then when I went to 1 and I was by myself, I was like, oh shit, everyone's in 3. So I'm clearly not hearing anything. But then Vivian came back and I was like, oh no, it's not 3. So what's happening here? And then 2 people came and everyone was saying, I think Louie then came in and said like, can you do Migs? And I was like, oh, I don't want to do Migs. And then Migs came in and I think, I forgot what he said, but I know I just kept on asking like, are people saying my name? And
I think I remember staying quiet when you asked that because I was the one that threw out your name. So I was scared to like tell you.
I was asking, and I was saying it numerous times. I was like, if someone's gonna try and get me out, like this is gonna be the round to do it. And I was sitting there with my LOS and I was like, I don't think it's me. I feel like people wouldn't go for me. And gosh, when I got voted out, I was like,
I mean, I could tell it was like a pure blindside, and even to the audience, like I looked back at the YouTube comments and the Twitch and like the Podquester Twitch stream after the mini, and yeah, people thought I was a goner until I played an LOS.
Yeah, for sure. I did not see that coming.
You were the only name I heard the whole time. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. So like, as
again,
I
I knew I was going on.
Yeah, as I reflected back, I was like, man, I really should have like moved around aggressively, especially for someone that's been like, this was my first ever like Sequester game. So I was like, I've watched so many times this history can't repeat round, and I was like, gosh, like how can you avoid this? And now to know that like I got out on it, I was like, oh, and then to know that it was by so few votes, you know, I think as you're having never played before and playing in a Patron Mini on top of that, especially seeing the reaction from like Twitter and the streams and stuff like that, I think there's like a lot of pressure to like perform and do well. So at that point, I was like, okay, I think I'm doing okay. And no one's naming my name. So I think if I can survive this round, I think I'm going to be good. I think it's also like hard, like, which is one of the reasons why like I wasn't really interested in applying for a mini, was like the relationships that you can't see. So like this 7-Eleven thing with 5 people, like could not see that coming or anything along those terms. And I guess for me, it was just like, okay, well, who do I like best? And I liked international players the best. So like, that's who I was like not interested in really voting for. But I think it's also fascinating to see how like so many people are so like locked in, like, I'm not voting for X person. Whereas like, because I came in not really knowing a lot of people, I was very fluid. And because I saw we had such strong game players, my thought process was like, okay, I feel like in a game with so much offense, I think defense is gonna get me a win here if I can do it. Which is why, like, every time I was in a room with like me and Vivian, I was like, okay, Vivian, we're gonna split up and we're gonna make sure that our names are good.
Yeah.
Because like us staying in a room is not gonna work. Like, so we're gonna split up and we're gonna do that way. So like my thought process throughout this entire game was defense, and even like putting myself in vulnerable situations like the leader, like in round 2 and stuff like that. I think it was all fascinating, but the LOS and not playing it is really haunting me like hours later. But
that's why I always use them as soon as I have them, because I feel like that's the worst case scenario is like not knowing and not using it. But I mean, in that case specifically, like there was no way to know. You only had 2 votes. It wasn't like your name was really out there all that much. Like it's hard to control that few votes. But I was so happy to see you there. Like you were the first person that I saw in the starting room, and you know, I had been waiting for you to play because we did that one commentary together for Greek Life, and I knew it was going to come, and I was so happy that it was like starting in that room with me, like the start of your Sequester journey.
Yeah, I was really confused because I really thought you were a mod, and I was actually gonna be like, "Oh, hey, Louie, I didn't know that you were like modding this game. Like, why room 1? Do you get to pick?" Like, I was gonna ask a lot of questions because I thought I was the first one. And then Joe, the show, because like my headphones weren't really working. So when Joe was talking, I was like, oh my God, like Louie's playing. And then I was like, fuck, like, how am I going to navigate this? Because I was like, I feel like Louie, I was like, I think Louie's going to want to work with me in some capacity, maybe. But I wasn't 100% sure, like, with the rest of the cast. And then I was like, winners, I don't know how to navigate them because you don't want to target them because they're a winner, but also like there's a lot of like pull, I think, being a winner because it's like, when do you take them out? And I thought History Can't Repeat would have been the perfect round. So
yeah. Well, was it everything you thought it would be actually going in and playing as compared to watching all of them?
I think for me, I think I sympathize more. I think it's one thing to be like critiquing, and as a viewer watching, I think it's a completely different thing, like actually like stepping into the arena and actually playing. And I was like so hurt, like, because I know I'm about to go soon, so I'm gonna have my final thoughts. But I was so hurt that Josh voted, like learning that Josh voted for me, because I first saw him in the Private Winners at War and I heard the British accent and I was like, okay, I'm a fan. So like I have no interest in voting for Josh. And then it's funny because for Migs, the round I got voted out, I wrote Migs, but I actually voted Migs by mistake. That was not who I wanted to vote for. I wrote big mistake clown, like calling myself a clown because I sent a vote by mistake for Migs, and then I got voted out. So I just felt like even more of a clown. And then do I explain like who I voted for to win?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I voted for Vivian because I love Vivian, and we spent a lot of time together.
We did.
And the reason why I voted for Vivian was because I thought Sindri had it locked. Like I think Sindri played a very like visible, dominant game. And I think for Vivian, you know, being a mom, learning about her struggles with technology, I think, you know, like flipping the vote at Final Four, I was like, I think Sindri's gonna take it, but I don't think Sindri deserved a 7-0 vote. So I was happy to at least give Vivian 1 vote. Like acknowledge that like you did play. And yeah, Sindri, you also played a really good game. I just knew that you were going to get the votes. Like just looking at our jury and how we were talking, I was like, I feel like Sindri's going to get it, but I want Vivian to get some respect as well and to not be a 0 vote finalist.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I didn't want it to be a 7-0 vote. I did not feel like that would represent that final 2 correctly because I felt like Vivian played a really strong game as well. And I felt like a 4-3 or 5-2 would be perfect for, I think that would represent that matchup well. So I'm glad Vivian got votes. Because
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that. I thought we would, like I said, I went in there and I didn't have the strategy you guys did at all. I mean, I just went with my gut feeling every time. Obviously, Alex Day did give me some pointers going into it because I had no clue what I was doing. And in the end, he knew it was going to overload me. He said, you know what, Mum? Just be you and go with your gut. And that's it. That's the only strategy I had was When I said a name, I was sticking to the name. When I said I was going to protect someone, I protected them. And at the end, I knew perhaps if I wanted to go to the end, I had to do something drastic, and that's when I did the flip, Josh. And that was it. But I stuck to it, and I thought, I take it on the chin. I take it on the chin.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we'll get there. But yeah, I was deciding between who I was going to vote for to win was a lot harder than I expected it to be, just because I was so close with Sindri for so long, and I never expected to ever even consider not voting for him. But I considered it when we got to the end. I still voted for him to win, but like I came very close to voting for you, Vivian, because I felt like your story was just so incredible. And like, the fact that you managed to do as well as you did, knowing so little about Sequester, and just the entire story arc was great. But we'll get there. Malcolm, thank you for coming on. Are you going to play again? I'm curious if you're going to play again.
Please do.
You should.
Oh gosh, if you ask me right now, my answer is like no, only because I want to like take a break. I feel like when you're seeing a lot of consistent faces, it's like, I don't know, it gets to like the intersections of like personalities and like the reality is that like you're playing with friends, right? So like if I was to play in another mini with 918, right? Like I'd be like, okay, like 918, like we know that we're good, but that's, again, other people will probably have that same mindset, and I don't like playing like that. I try focusing on like what's presented in front of me. So like kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, like it frustrates me as someone that doesn't really play games. And like for my personal experience, like just like learning about orgs during this time of the pandemic, like I feel like I've lost multiple games because of pre-game relationships that I couldn't foresee. So like internally, I'm like battling with that. I would like to play again. It just probably won't be anytime soon. I'll continue to tweet about it though.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, Malcolm.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Thank you. Loved everyone in 918. Looking forward to the group chat.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that brought us to a round that scared me a lot. The mole round. I am notoriously bad at knowing when people are lying to me, because I just take everybody's word. Like if you say something, I just believe it. They actually did do a round similar to this. I know Audrey had said it had never been done before, but it was in the first Winners at War. They did something very similar, and I did terrible at it and got it completely wrong. So I was immediately afraid, and because I thought it was Migs. 100% I thought it was Migs until Josh came in the room.
Especially because I like told you the votes.
Yeah.
Told you my last votes too. And like, yeah, I also realized looking back at the comments, even the audience thought I was the mole until Josh came out and said it.
Even when Josh said it, I still thought it was you for a good portion of it.
Although to be fair, logically, Mix being the mole wouldn't make sense because there was 2 Malcolm votes there, and there's no way that Mix could have voted for Malcolm twice if he just voted for Malcolm.
Yeah.
True.
Especially in a history can't repeat round. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just thought like it would most likely. I just thought the most obvious thing would be if it's Mix. I wasn't convinced, but it was just like it was not a vote for Mix the last vote, so the most logical thing would be Mix. And I also just thought like if it is Mix, I'm fine with him having the sole vote. But also like I don't know, it just I actually threw it on someone else because I wanted Mix to have the sole vote.
Did you actually believe it was Mix at the time we was voting?
Yes, I believed it was Migs. So I thought like whatever it is, it makes the most sense for me. If it's someone else, I'm guessing wrong either way. But if it is Migs, then I want to throw a vote to make sure that he does have the sole vote because he would not vote for me.
Yeah,
I said you fair, Sindri. I don't think I got a chance to be in the room with you then when I was running around doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just trusted you 100%. Like,
yeah, me too.
You told me it was you, and I'm like, yeah, I'm taking you at your word. Like, the way you said it, I had no reason to doubt you were not telling the truth.
Yeah, I just never met Josh that round, so I'd never.
Yeah, it was such a.
This is the first time I'm hearing that he even told anyone.
As soon as they explained the rules this twist, I was like, if this comes to me, and then I saw the typing in chat, I thought I'm gonna do it. I thought so the issue with this twist, I thought first, well, it was not an issue, but I thought And I checked with Audrey, like, if people vote publicly or vote privately, and then once she confirmed this is going to be a private vote, I thought this is perfect, because I thought, I know there's people that trust me enough. There's 7 people here, only one person's got to trust me enough to throw a vote, and then I've got the control of this round. And it also, because I know that I could have done this secretly, because I know I could have gotten away with being the, what was it called? The mole, that's what it's called. I could have gotten away with it, but the problem was, if I would have been quiet, and then it comes out that I've done that, that makes me a lot more of a target, where if I just tell people this is what it is, it kind of makes me a bit more of a trusted figure, as more so it makes it a less target. It makes me less of a target, because I imagine I would have been targeted much sooner if I would have essentially been. It makes me, although it was not necessarily lying, it makes you look like you're being a liar or being shady if you don't tell people you're the mole. So I thought that's the best way I can play this, and then we'll get to my decision in a moment.
Yeah, it was very, very smart. And then after you said it, I was like, okay, well, this works out both ways anyway, because the person I originally thought it was Miggs. So I could essentially still vote for him and have trust with you in the fact that I'm doing what you're telling me to do. So that was what I ended up doing. Going back, I watched a little bit of Podquester during that round, and they were very afraid that you were still going to vote me out, even though you guaranteed you wouldn't. Was it something? Because I never even considered that you would do that. I just took you at your word. But was it something that you had considered?
I'm a pretty upfront player. Like, at most, sometimes if you're like doing a vote, I wouldn't tell someone I'm voting for them. But that's more so due to LOSs than anything else. Like, if there was no LOSs in Sequester, I think I would be upfront all the time. But in a vote like that, I just don't. If I'm saying I'm doing something, that's what I'm doing. I just don't like the whole lying business. I wish I liked it more, because it would make the game much easier. But yeah, so Louie, I told you I wasn't going to vote you out, and I wasn't going to drag you out. At that moment when I said that I was considering doing Rachel, because Rachel was the person I was least connected with, but then we get into that room of 8 people, and I thought, if I drag who's considered like a small name or something, or someone that's not seemed threatening, when I get to the jury, I'm going to lose. I thought, I've got to do something here. I'm forced into this position where I've got to make a move here. And I just decided to go with Kayla.
What a shame. That was when it turned on for me, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. It's time I have nothing left to lose. It's time to play.
Yeah, I was convinced you would, because you are a big player and you've won before, I was convinced you would make a big move there, and it would be either Kayla or Louie. And I was really hoping it would be Kayla at that point.
I didn't even view myself being a big player, because this was my first Patron game. I guess I won my first game, but also no one really watched that first game. So I was never playing with the mentality that I'm a big player. I never really had that perception of myself when I was in the game.
That's also just like, because I don't watch like nearly every mini. I like watch occasionally. Like you sometimes just see a face and you like kind of guess. And the thing is, I've only seen you in Private Winners at War, and I was like, oh, he's won before. And I saw how you just interacted with people there, and I was like, okay, he has some power as a player. He's obviously a good player, and that's why I thought, okay, he would make a power move here.
Yeah, and I like, even though I didn't watch Brickquester, like I know enough about you and like what a good player you are in your history, like even before Sequester, and then what I saw in Winners at War, to know that you were a huge threat in the game, and I think you proved it within the game as well, which we'll get to as well, like in Final Four and stuff like that.
My initial game was very strange, because in my initial game, I found a group of 4 and we just raided out to the end. Whereas this game, there was nothing close to that happened. That is what happened in my first game is a big rarity of Sequester, and then Private Winners of War was strange. This was like my first game playing with a game where everyone was a really capable player, and it was a normal sized game. I had so much fun though.
Yeah, it was great. So Kayla went out. My heart was broken. Hard hands to Kayla. She wanted to be here. She's running a game. I think she's running.
Yeah, she's running. She's on production for a mini. I was in.
But yeah, I was so happy when I saw she was playing. She's probably the closest person to me in the community, and to get to play Sequester with her was incredible. Even though I didn't really see her much, and I realized she's far more serious playing the game, like very serious. I'm like, smile, come on, have fun. She was done.
I saw that in my starting room, because like. I mentioned this in the comments earlier, but like I was really surprised with how serious she was during the intro videos. Seeing that most of the intro videos you have to, show off your personality and show your fun side and be energetic, which is usually what I do and what other people do as well. But I was really surprised that, she did smile like a bit. She was like,
I kept trying to make faces at her. No reaction.
It was a lot of that.
And I was had a game face.
She had her game face on.
Yeah,
she took it seriously. Yeah. But it was so cool to have her around and get to have that experience. But so after that, we got to Final 7. This was, I don't know if anyone, I've told Migs this. I thought, like, this was the first time that I thought it was probably one of the best moves I've made on Sequester. I thought. I tried to figure out a way that this would work and, like, do top row, everybody vote for Migs, knowing Migs would make it not even, throw the vote there, and then throw the vote on somebody else. So I voted.
Wasn't Migs in the top row?
No.
I was in the
Migs
bottom
was
row,
in the bottom
along
row.
with Vivian and Rachel.
Yep.
So I thought it would be easier if those four, including myself, voted Migs, but I then wouldn't vote Migs and vote Jamie, and then Migs would either throw a vote on himself to make it odd, which would then make it even, or there would be 2 on Jamie sending her out, essentially just making sure that it didn't tie and one person would go.
Just quick, it's only just occurred to me when you said top row, I thought you was talking about the cast graphics. That's when you made this play. I was like, I'm so confused. I thought, wait, Migs is in the top row. How does this work? It's only just occurred to me when you said that you meant this video.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was. I mean, nobody was talking. I felt like I talked the entire round and nobody said anything until like the last minute.
I said I would vote. I said I was happy to do Migs because I was not going to vote for the girls I wasn't going to vote for the 2 girls. So I was like, yep, no, I'm fine. I'm good with that. But nobody, like you said, nobody else wanted to jump in on it. It was like, okay, we're not getting anywhere with this. I threw my name out there. Like I said it. And then nobody else wanted to, like you said, Louie, no one else wanted to sort of join in. Migs, you were fighting for your life at that point.
So how did everyone end up vote? Migs, did you vote for? So you couldn't have voted for yourself, right? Who did you vote for?
I did vote for myself.
Oh, you did vote for yourself. So that means there was it must have been 5.
So there was a I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I ended up having 5 votes, I'm guessing, and then 2 people voted. I'm not sure who those 2 people were, but I do remember planting the seed in that round, saying, "Hey, I want to go for Jamie," and obviously Jamie's definitely going to vote for me. She was probably the person that like could have voted whatever way, but because I engaged her to vote me, then it became a 4, so then I could vote for myself to make it 5. I could be viewing that wrong, but I don't know. That's how I thought of it.
I think both you and Louie played that round really well, and I really just sat back for that round because this is exactly where I get in trouble every single time I play. And I'm not gonna do it this time. I'm gonna like not talk for a second and see what's happening before, because every single other time I played, I come into these rounds with like I use the time before the round starts to like make a plan, and I come out so hot with that plan, and every single time everybody's just like, well, he's talking a lot, let's take him out. And even though my plan is like a good plan, like obviously when you're like so obvious with it, like people just say, well, okay, well, but still you're the biggest threat. So this time I decided to like sit back and evaluate and see what other people are doing. Also having someone like Louie there helps because I knew he would do what I usually do and I could kind of let him be the mouthpiece. But that was also scary because I'm taking a risk there because I know I can't take Louie out straight away. So that's a big risk. Like what if I end up in a final 2 with Louie? It will be kind of scary going up against him.
I mean, I after I knew nothing was going to happen with Migs, then I sort of looked at who was left, and I was like, I went for Jamie because I knew Jamie was tight with Sindri, to be honest, and that was my thought.
So me and you, Vivian, then were probably the 2 votes on Jamie.
Yeah, I just thought Sindri's tight with Jamie. I'm going to get rid of, and that was my only thought process on that. After no one was going to join in with Louie and us doing Migs, I was like, right, okay, and that's it. I just didn't say anything. That was where my vote was going to go.
Interesting. Yeah, it didn't go exactly as I planned, but it did kind of end up.
It went the way I planned, so that's cool.
It worked out.
But yeah, like, oh my gosh. I also looked back at that moment because I knew that was one of my highlights. Aside from like the history can't repeat now, I knew that I'd consider that like the second highlight of my night because like again, it was a moment where I had to like really think about what I'm supposed to be doing to survive. Considering it was high as even, obviously, but for myself, even though it's not the best idea, I knew I had to take a risk and paid off. And on top of that, again, it was another round where people thought I was a goner. again, looking back at the comments, I love it.
So it's probably what, like a 3-2 to 1-1, because I voted for Rachel.
Really?
Oh.
I threw a vote on Rachel.
Wow.
Interesting.
Maybe
I
Jamie.
didn't know what to do, so I
Jamie
just voted for someone that was not involved.
Yeah, so that must have been what it was then. 3-2.
We need to get a voting chart for this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
honestly.
It's easier.
We gotta make that happen.
So that moved us on to the next round, and I believe that was the first challenge round. That was the memory challenge.
Well, I was never ever going to win. I almost asked, could I not just do it and just, dear Lord.
I was honestly
I did
surprised
so
about
little work this week. So little work. Basically, I just did the memory challenge and Tower of Hanoi and puzzles for like hours a day to prepare for this, just in case it came up.
I did not practice for I knew Towers of Hanoi. I did not practice for memory.
I practiced memory, the puzzle thing, and Tower of Hanoi, and I got like a strategy going with the memory thing, but it just went all out when I started, because the thing is, when you start getting matches early, it starts to get like easier. But I just wasn't getting any matches, and I kind of got like flustered in my head and was like, "Fuck, I'm fucking up." But the second I started thinking about anything else than where everything was, I just lost where everything had been, and I was just like, "Oh shit, I'm losing this." I got like maybe 4 matches before everybody was gone. I'm like, "How did I practice this all week and then I fuck it up this bad?"
God, it's so great not having any pressure on yourself. I had no idea what I was doing with the computer. I thought, and the funny thing was, he told me before the play, because there is puzzle challenges, but you'll never get that far, so you don't need to worry about that. And all of a sudden she goes, there's a puzzle, and I'm like, yeah, what am I going to do? Oh my God. oh Lord. I thought, you know what? There's no pressure because you're never going to win. So just pretend and just like move it around, and it'll be fine. It'll happen, whatever. But I mean, he literally said, "You'll never get that far, so don't even worry about it." Like this. So I was like, "Oh, thanks. Okay, cool."
And that was so. I mean, in that round, that was kind of one of the things that I tried to use to keep you there, was in the fact that I wanted Rachel gone and I wanted you to keep going, and I also didn't want Sindri to go. So I felt like the best case scenario was to paint Rachel as the biggest threat going into the challenge, because I knew 5 was going to be another challenge. I thought it was going to be Tower of Hanoi. It ended up being a jigsaw puzzle, but that was really my only strategy, because I knew Rachel would gun for me and had already said in the previous round that I was the biggest threat. So I knew hopefully that she would go. I think that ended up being what, a 4-2 vote, I think.
What, the Rachel vote?
Yeah, the Rachel vote.
Oh
wait, no, we're skipping around. We're skipping around. This is no, we're not.
No, because during the final 6, 3 of us were safe. It was me, you, Louie, and then Josh. So then it could only be Sindri, Vivian, and Rachel. And then I think what happened was that I'm not sure where. I think it was like a 3-3 vote. A tie between Sindri and Rachel. I voted for Rachel that round because like I had publicized I was not going to vote Sindri. So like yeah, I stuck with Rachel that round, and well then the revote came, stuck with it, got wheeled out, which I didn't think was gonna happen, but then again, me being me, the wheel loves people that are wheel's racist. How do I say that? Yeah, wheel's racist.
Yeah. It was. I was willing to go to the wheel there for Sindri for 2 reasons. One, I knew if he went, I was next. Like, I would have no protection in front of me whatsoever. And 2, I also was afraid that if I switched my vote, Migs, you might switch, or like someone else might switch their vote too, and it might end up being a tie anyway. So I was willing to take the 25% chance of going home there for the betterment of if I survived.
Yeah, I was fine going to wheel because, like, when it comes to reverse, I'm like, I decided to vote this way. I'm not changing my decision. So when it was told, because I think Louie, you may have mentioned something like I needed to flip or I was just going to a wheel. So my response was, no, you can flip. I will always go to a wheel. I do not care if it's final 4 or if final 20. I will go to a wheel because why not? If I decide that's how I want to vote, I'm voting that way and I'm sticking to it no matter what. And that's just how I always play. I'm not the kind of person to flip my vote in that kind of situation. It's very rare circumstance I'm willing to. I can't think of a time I ever have in the past.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when I saw it was a tie, I was pretty confident that it would continue to be a tie or it would flip on Rachel before me because I felt like Migs and Louie would not flip on me at that point. And I thought it was more likely that Joshua would decide to vote Rachel just not to go to a wheel, but like you said, he was not willing to do that. But also, like, if it's a tie again, like, I thought it was best of both. Like, I didn't think either of you would flip, and if it goes to a tie, then like I'm not on the wheel, so I'm safe.
Exactly. So Migs, this was obviously a much better journey than the last time when you got Tech-evac, which was probably the most next to Navit, the most heartbreaking Tech-evac I've ever seen in terms of you were there in the room and they wouldn't let you back in. But it actually, this time it worked out a lot better, and I think
it worked out. Plus, I will say, despite how I did in my very first mini, the BB premiere party, which again I'm not sure many people watched because it was at 2 p.m. on a weekday, but I will say this is. Honestly, despite not me making it as far as my first mini, I'd say this is probably like the best game I've played, comparing my 3 games. Maybe it might have been different if I wasn't Tech-evac last game, but even then, I don't think I would have gotten an LOS. I don't think I would have been able to boat myself and still survive. I didn't think I was gonna like even just play with a lot of big names such as like you, Louie, and Kayla, and even Sindri. I consider a big name now. And then also Alex Day's mom. We were playing with Alex Day's mom, so like there was that too. But like it was such a fun mini and probably the best one. No shade to the last week's cast because that was also pretty stacked. Is that I'm just really lucky with my cast because like the first time I had like DK and Kyle Carson in my like very first mini, who both were on Private Winners at War. Then second time I played, I got to play with like a bunch of like cool people. We got Sindri's Angels in Abby and Juliana, and on top of that we had Abimael, Carolina, like a lot of good people in the cast. I do also admit that I was a big idiot for not realizing that Andrew Dolan was actually Ryan Taylor. But also, with BT, I didn't really care who BT was because I felt extremely good with him, and I honestly was rooting them to win.
Yeah,
even though it was Butler
against the robot.
I had no idea what Butler, but when I heard it, like I heard it in the voice. Like when you know it, you really hear it.
Yeah,
because he has such a specific way of speaking, and you can really hear like, yeah, that's Butler.
But yeah, I couldn't have asked, even though I didn't ask, couldn't have asked for a better cast to play with, and like everyone else has been saying, and I will say over and over again, group chat, please do it.
It's coming. The quicker we talk, the quicker I can make it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Migs.
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun, and love y'all.
See you, Migs.
All right, so final 5. This resulted in the Rachel elimination, and we had a puzzle which I had already put together, which I had to deassemble and put together again, of Joe the Show's face. I am so bad at puzzles, and I'm very thankful that I think I beat Rachel literally like a second. It was very close. Josh, you destroyed all of us.
These are the puzzles we use in orgs. I've done these puzzles for years. This is the ones of all the Sequester sites. This is the one I've had practice on. I've not done any of the ones, but that puzzle I've done these since I was like 15 years old.
I was so mad that it wasn't Tower of Hanoi. Because like I literally like have notes with like the sequence of both 5 and 6 rings like ready, and I've been practicing constantly.
Sindri, can we do at some point tonight a Tower of Hanoi race? I was curious if you would beat me in it.
I'm willing to do. I can't do it without the notes though. I can only do it with the notes.
This was at the point where I wish you could have had a sub, and I could have subbed him in. He's awesome at puzzles. I'm like, oh my god, please, can I not just sub him in for this round? Because he's really good at puzzles.
I also just think like this is the point where, like, sure, I had practice all week, but like, it was 4 or 5 a.m. my time, and I had like been pretty sick during the day, and like I was just so tired that my brain just wasn't working like it had during the week. So anything I was doing, I was just so much slower. But Joshua, like it was even later for him, right? So like That's so impressive that you could have.
I'm used to playing games at this kind of time. This is what I grew up doing. Like when we played Brick Quest, it was the middle of the day, and I was so confused because I'm not used to playing games at that kind of time. The 3 a.m. puzzles, or ridiculous time puzzles, I'm used to that.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely, it was super impressive that you could do that late.
So in terms of the vote, it ended up being I kind of forget how this ended up happening. So how did we all vote? I voted Rachel, obviously, but how did everyone else vote?
I voted Rachel.
I voted you, Sindri, because you were you were on my radar.
So it was the case where I knew it was the swing vote because I think we'd even gone around the table and said who's everyone voting for, and it was very clear that the two of you had always said you were going to vote for Rachel. The other two had said they were going to vote for Sindri. I was like, well, I guess I've got to make a decision here of what I think is going to set me up better in a Final Four situation. Maybe I guessed wrong. Maybe I would have gone out both ways, but I just thought that voting out Rachel was going to be the best move than voting out Sindri, just in terms of. At this stage, I wasn't thinking about my win at equity in terms of who I've had the best shot at Final Two. It was just thinking about how I was going to survive the Final Four round. That, retrospectively, I probably made the wrong call, but oh well.
Yeah. You definitely were the swing vote there, and I feel like I knew, Joshua, that you were the biggest threat to me. Like I thought that pretty early on, like basically after the mole round when you played it so well. I was like, okay, well, after that, like, he's going to win a jury vote. I was sure of it. And I wanted to make sure that you weren't going to get there because I thought it was my biggest hurdle to get through. But as we got to 4, it threw me off because I've been in a lot of 4s now, and I'm always the target. I always get the votes, and I've only ever played getting the votes. So when you all decided to target Sindri, it threw me for a loop. And it kind of threw off my strategy, but I always figured I was going to threaten Sindri, like not even have to threaten him. I just thought, because I don't like to threaten people, and I thought he would understand that he would go with me, even though maybe that was the wrong move. What were you all thinking and how you were going to approach 4?
I was just like,
go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say I was going to do what Vivian said.
Well, for me, I've got to be honest. I was looking at who I thought, and I probably don't play this the right way, but it's the way I play it. But I thought the best player in the game was Louie, and I thought Louie should get to the final. So I wanted to get rid of Sindri. It might be a dumb strategy, but that was how I felt. For me, I thought Louie deserved to get to the final, so I needed to get rid of Sindri. That might be stupid, but that's what I went with. And
I don't think it's stupid. I love it.
So that was it. I just stuck to it, and I wasn't going to waver on it.
It's not the typical strategy, but it's also a valid way of playing. It's a very British way of playing because British reality television culture is very, very different. So I think that is much more of a British thing than sometimes I feel like, especially Americans, like the way they reality television, that's not something that translates, but it's something we're very used to seeing.
You understand
that kind of mentality.
You understand where I'm coming from here.
Yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like, now looking back on it, everybody says I should have flipped and voted Sindri. I don't know. I've always tried to play as loyal as I possibly can. And we knew we had each other. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have voted Sindri because I don't know if you were as loyal to me as I was to you. But I didn't feel right about it. And I know how much you wanted to win this game and how badly you wanted to be there. And I couldn't take it away from you. Like, I couldn't find it in my heart to take it away from you. So I was going to stick with you in that vote. The question is, if I flipped, would you have dragged me?
No, I would not have dragged you.
What a shame. Well,
that's just the truth. The thing is, for me personally, I've thought about Final Four a lot. I talk about the game a lot with my friends and a lot of people. I think about what if I ever get there? What would I do? But then it kind of ended up just going perfectly for me without me having to do anything. Because usually in every other game I've played, I've been the biggest player or the biggest threat when I go out. And if I had gotten to 4, I would have always been somebody would say, okay, Sindri's the biggest threat, we vote for him. So I was that's what I've always prepared for, that people would vote for me. I threatened someone to vote with me. I'm not on the wheel, and people would not drag me because I was the biggest threat. In this game, it kind of just happened. Like, I thought definitely the votes would go on Louie, and I was getting kind of scared that, like, oh, I'm going on a wheel here. But then out of nowhere, they decided to vote for me, and I was just like, oh, this is perfect. I'm not going on the wheel, and if it goes on Louie, he will not drag me. And if it goes on Vivian, I think I can convince her not to drag me. And like, I wasn't sure she wouldn't, but like, I thought like I could at least make a good case for myself not being dragged. But when like Vivian flipped, that was very shocking to me. And yeah, I don't know, like that really went way beyond what I ever thought would happen. And then Joshua's drag and everything like that, like I was just there for the ride and watching the drama unfold.
I just thought, I've just got to do something different here, and I've made it further than I ever thought I was going to make it. Let's do something here. Let's just see what you all do, and you've all been playing an unbelievable game. And I was just really interested to see what happened. I've got to be honest.
Well, it definitely was dramatic. I think a couple people said it was one of the most dramatic Final Fours seen. So that's good. Fireworks, at least.
Yeah. Weird shit in this game. Like, this was Freaky Friday, and it was not just the twists. Like, we were all getting, like, we were doing some freaky stuff as well. Like, we played and made moves that were like beyond what we often see in these minis. Like, people are trying new stuff, like Justin throwing out like, oh, I'm doing this room and I'm like specifically targeting this person, and then Joshua like having the soul vote to evict Kayla in the Final Four. It was just a really like, there were a lot of like specific exciting moments.
Agreed. So getting into the drag a little bit, what were your thoughts overall? Like, did you know going in who you were going to drag?
No. So I decided I was torn between dragging Louie and Vivian. I wasn't going to drag Sindri. To be clear, this wasn't based on anything that had happened prior to the game with Sindri. I just thought, based on how this Final Four situation came out, I just didn't want to drag Sindri. Between Louie and Vivian, and the only reason I only really addressed Vivian was because it was like, well, it's going to depend on Vivian's answers. That was the only thing that I really cared about. I was curious to see who Sindri wanted to be at Final 2 again, but what Vivian said was going to be the determining factor. Because typically, whenever I've played anything for years in this kind of situation, I would immediately want to drag someone like Vivian. But Vivian, as I said yesterday, did something that you don't typically get to see, and I'm not rewarding anyone for doing this in the future, but Vivian was the first person I've experienced this, so I had to reward it. Vivian voted me out. I don't like when people cry about game moves they made, when they try and act upset about game moves they made. I can't stand it. When people do stuff like that, I want to drag them. And if people are like that in jury, I don't want to vote for them. Mm-hmm. But Vivian sat there and said, this is what I did. This is why I did. I did it for this reason. And I appreciated the upfront and bluntness of it. I appreciated that there was no trying to make me feel better. There was just, this is what I did. And I really liked the way that Vivian presented the arguments. And also Louie, low-key, I thought, so part of the reason I wanted to drag Louie was because Louie had been so vocal in that previous round, especially the Final Four, but in a lot of previous rounds as well. I thought, I don't need to hear Louie anymore. I thought, like, especially at Final Four, Louie had been a huge factor in trying to constantly speak to Vivian to try and, I'm not sure if intentional or not, but in an attempt to decrease the amount of time I'd have to be able to speak to Vivian. So that was 100%. Part of why at the moment, it felt like a lot of filibustering going on. So I was like, well, that makes me now want to drag Louie for intentionally blocking me from trying to speak to Vivian. And that was a huge determinant of why I wanted to drag Louie. And that was a huge determinant of why I didn't want to hear Louie say anything. And also I'd made up my mind. I didn't want to waste time. I knew I was dragging Louie. I was tired.
See us Brits, we're very determined, aren't we, Joshua? Like, we just, that's it, bang.
Mm-hmm. And about this drag, so another thing I want to clarify, because I think a lot of people on Twitter, they're either not understanding me or they're accidentally not understanding me or intentionally not understanding me. I did not drag Louie because he was the biggest threat to win. When I mentioned who I perceived to be the biggest threat to win, all I was saying was I didn't, because a lot of Sequester meta says you're not allowed to drag the person that is the biggest threat to win. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to drag who I wanted, and that's what I wanted to make clear. The fact that I wasn't dragging Louie because I thought it was a big threat to win. What I meant was Louie is not getting immunity from being dragged because I think he's a big threat to win here. I'm going to drag who I feel like I want to drag, regardless of what I think their end game chances are. That kind of, I don't believe that someone should have immunity from a drag in this meta world because of something like that.
I agree with that. I didn't have much of a problem being dragged. I would have liked to have said something, or at least like, or don't let anybody talk. Don't let two people talk and tell me to, don't unmute don't unmute or you're getting dragged and then drag me.
Yeah. I do get that. Sorry to finish your point. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was it. That was the only part that hurt, because it felt like I wasn't allowed to say anything because I would have gotten dragged, but you were going to drag me anyway.
Yeah, so I understand that, and it wasn't. I know that some people said on Twitter that it was meant to be a that I was trying to be mean or something. I understand how it made it across that way, but there's no way meant to be a mean thing. It was just so when I questioned Sindri, who wanted to get answer. To be fair, when I asked the question, part of me was thinking, well, let me ask Sindri this and just give Sindri the opposite of what he asks for. I considered using that logic at one stage, so that's part of why I did ask Sindri. But I thought, you know what, let's not go down that path. But then with Vivian, I had a reason to ask Vivian that, and then my mind had just been made up in that instance. So I get why he was frustrated about not getting to speak. It was no way meant to be this evil or thing that some people on Twitter tried to make me out to be, which Twitter being so mad it made me feel more solid in my decision, because I thought if I've upset the community, maybe I did the right thing. Louie, I did really respect the game you played, and I do still love you, and I'm sorry for dragging you out without letting you speak. That was that was a harsh thing to do, but yeah.
I don't hold hard feelings. It's just a game. It hurt probably more than any game I've played, because I felt like that was the best I could have possibly done in Sequester. Like, I don't think I could top that, but it wasn't meant to be. I was honestly more surprised, because the reason I wanted to unmute was to answer the question that you asked Sindri, because my answer was going to be I would go against either one, because I felt like I could win. I was surprised that Sindri actually didn't say he wanted to go against me. Like, I always thought that was the whole point. Like, I thought that we were going to try to get to the end. It's why, like, I formulated the final four like I did. I just thought it would be such a great moment to be Sindri against me, that just because we had talked so much and talked about strategy and stuff like that, like when he first entered the community, I thought that would just be a great face-off. That I was surprised your answer wasn't that you wanted to go against me.
Yeah, that's probably one of the... I've never had as many hard decisions in a game as I had in this game, and a lot of them really hurt me, and I didn't really feel good about them when I did it. But like, the first one was with Jamie, like feeling like I pushed her a bit when she was really loyal to me. But the biggest one was in that final four. It's like he gave me a point blank question where I could have went for the kill. Like, I know I have a better chance against Vivian. I think everybody knew that. So, like, someone asks you, do you want a win or do you want to go with someone that you respect? And I had to go for the kill. Like, I felt like, for the respect of the game, for the respect of my game, and I don't know, like, I feel like if I had just said, no, I want to go with Louie to the end, that would also be like devaluing my own game, that it was okay going with one of the like biggest players in the community to the end. And what if I say that and he does that, and then I go to the finals and I lose to Louie? When you get that point blank question, like, I would have always regretted it if I lost to Louie and I knew I could have said one thing and just didn't. And that's why I lost. So that's the main thing why I just said, yeah, I wanna go against Vivian, because it just felt like between winning or losing to me.
I'm curious what the vote would have been if it was me and you, because I'm not necessarily sure that it would be a landslide. I think it would have been pretty close.
I probably would have voted Louie in that final too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see. You see, it's a different mentality, Sindri, what you had to be. For me, I was trying to get Louie to the final. It's different. Like, Josh probably knows this mindset. I wanted who I thought the best player was. And if I was going to sit next to someone at the final, I wanted it to be Louie. And if I lost to Louie, he was the best player. I wanted to go against the best. I wanted to play against the best. If I lost against the best, so be it. That was my mindset. I was happy to do that. Whereas your mindset was different. And I absolutely respect where you're coming from. You wanted to win. You knew you had a much better shot against me because I was not the strongest player out of Louie or Josh, and I get that. But and there's just it's totally
I totally
fine.
get
There's
that.
two different ways of playing it. Yours is perfect. It worked out perfect for you, and you did a brilliant game plan to do that and win it. But my mindset was, so you can see where I was trying to go. Like, it might be crazy British woman doing that, but that was my whole mentality. I just kept thinking, Louie needs to get to the final. I mean, I know I just felt however I could sort of work it or wangle it round. That was it. And if I was gonna get there, I wanted to go against him. And if I'd lost 7-0 to him, that would have been okay. Okay.
I get that totally. Like, for me, I just thought, like, it's either beating him now in this final four or losing to him in final two.
Absolutely.
And also, like, I was still ready for a final two against Louie. Like, it was not like I was going in there like, oh shit, I just lost to Louie. I still would have been confident going into a final two with Louie, and I was thinking the whole time, like, I might be in the final two with Louie. So I was like also kind of like making mental notes of like kind of a smear campaign against Louie in the final two. I was ready with points like why I was better than Louie in the game. I don't believe I necessarily was, but like I had some points ready for like what I had to deal with that Louie did not have to deal with. But yeah, like I just went for the kill when I had to. Like
absolutely, you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, I felt like
all credit in the world to you. I feel like the thing that changed it was the vote going to you rather than me. I feel like that decided the entire game because my thought process in threatening you immediately was the fact that I was going to get the votes. And if I knew I wasn't going to get the votes, I probably would have played it very differently. But
yeah, I had an incredible amount of luck in this game, like a ridiculous amount of luck. Like I did not win because I controlled every vote. I did not win because like I dominated or anything like that. Like I was lucky in certain situations, of course, like some of it's skill, but like there was that vote where Rasmus just last minute just decided not to vote for me. I could have easily been out that round. Like all those first few rounds, I could have easily gone out if people just decided to vote for me. It's the same thing in every other game I've played. I've been targeted early, and like in both of my other games, I was like this close to being second boot. Like that's what this game of Sequester is. It's so random in so many ways because the twists are different. You can't really, some of them are so random that you can't really like account for them that much. So when I look at a good game, I don't look at not necessarily who like navigated the twist the best or anything like that. I look at who maximized their winning game the most by playing the social strategic game, like making connections and situating yourself in a way that like it will be like as little randomness as possible. And in this game, I was just lucky that some of the randomness went my way instead of against me.
So let's talk about 2 a little bit, because that was when the grand reveal happened of you being Alex Day's mom. I think the collective Twitter world gasped, and I think everybody. Did anyone know? Did anyone have any inkling? Do you think?
No,
it didn't seem.
I didn't feel that anyone did. I didn't get that sense that anyone did know that. So.
You placed it perfectly within.
Did I? I wasn't sure when
it
to
was
do
like
it.
The perfect bomb dropped. I felt like it was right at the perfect moment that got the reaction from everyone that you wanted it to get. I think, and that was the thing. It was like I went in thinking 100% I was voting Sindri, and as you did the final 2, I went more and more towards you. And that's like the question that I asked specifically. Like I had that question in mind because I knew it would help Sindri because I knew his story and I knew how badly he wanted it. And I actually thought like the question that I asked, you swayed me more in terms of what you said. Because, you know, in terms of why you were playing and trying to make, you know, your son proud. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
What were you both thinking going in? Did you think that you had it in the bag? Did you think you had no shot?
I didn't think I had a shot at all. I mean, I really didn't. Like we said, like we talked about me playing, and I was just playing, just going to be myself. And he said, "You'll be fine." And like you said, he said I would never get to the challenge section, and blah 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 blah. And I just played it the way I wanted to play it, and and so going into it, no, I didn't think I had a shot, and I was just so proud. When I got to the final four, I was like so proud of myself, and that's why I did the flip. I was like, crikey, I've done amazing here. This is awesome. So happy right now. And then when I got to the final two, and I was like, for me, I was so happy being in the final two that part of me, I wanted to win because everybody wants to win. That'd be naive to say I didn't. But I could also see how much it meant to Sindri. And I was like, then I didn't want to win because I would have, I'm a mum. At the end of the day, Sindri, you could be my son, sort of thing. And I know like how he would have felt. And I'd be like, oh God, I can't do this to him. Like, I would be going, no, give it to him. So, for me, I was like, if I get it, great. If I don't, I'm so happy at this point. So for me, it worked out great. You won, and it's for me, it's worked out a great result for you, and it's the right result. So I'm happy.
But Vivian, the game you played was really solid. So I was your other vote to win. So unlike Malcolm, it wasn't just because I just didn't want him to get 7. I was like, I voted you Ving just because I legitimately, that's where I wanted my vote to go. I really liked your speech, and I just really liked the way you played the game. I liked that you although in some ways we are quite different people, I like that similarly to me, you play just as you are. You don't come in trying to be anything but who you are. You just act as you are as a person. I really liked your speech, and I loved how you were answering all the questions as well. So I was very happy to give my vote to you, Vivian.
Thank you, Josh. That means a lot. Yeah, I just was, and that was my whole thing. I was just going to be me. I can't be anybody else. I'm older than you guys. I'm set in my ways. So you're going to get what you're going to get. Like, that's it. Like, as maybe being an older player, I was more sitting there listening because I was listening to you all. A lot of it, I was listening and learning, like, just taking in everything you were all doing and saying and the strategy of it. Some of it was going over my head. I'll be totally honest on this. Like, I was like, wow, this is too much. Okay, filter that out. But yeah, I mean, like Josh said, I was gonna give you my answer, and that was it. There was no, like, it was never personal. It was always, that's the answer, that's it. I'm not gonna, I've done, if I've done something, I've done it for a reason. I'm not gonna backtrack now. Done.
What about you, Sindri? Did you think that you had it won?
Going in, I was kind of confident. I felt like I also just didn't see that much of Vivian's game in general, so I also just didn't have much of a perspective of what she did. So if suddenly like it came out that she was like this power player the whole time, I would have been like, oh, okay, then she fooled me, and that's fine. But I felt like I had a good story. I bet on myself in those kind of situations, answering those kinds of questions, especially now having played a couple of times before. I feel like I have a very like specific perspective on my own game and how I play, and I had like a very clear vision of how to like articulate how I play, because it's a very like specific type of gameplay. Also just because I've like I said in the final speech, I maybe took more credit than I actually deserve, like having coached some other people that have won. Like, sure, I've talked to those people, but I didn't they didn't just like, I didn't just hand them a like playbook and they won because of it. Like, I barely talked to Joe. I talked to Maddie a little bit. I talked to Ashley a lot, and Brian, who got 4th place 2 days ago, I talked to a lot. But like finally I was able to like use everything that I've been talking about and actually do it successfully myself. And I thought I would be able to articulate that. And a lot of the points I made didn't even have as much to do with how I played this time and more how I've played before. Just things I've like noticed about myself in those games. Like, I was much more hazy on what the hell I did this game. Like, I still am kind of like, what happened yesterday? Like, what happened during the game? but I still don't know how. I still don't know exactly what I do to, like I always get targeted in the beginning, but don't get voted out. I still don't know how that happens every single game, that I get targeted early, but don't go out and still somehow get jury. It's just, I don't know. I felt like I could make my case, and I was confident of making, I would have made the same case against any of you guys, and I was proud of the game I played and thought I had a chance against any of you, but I definitely, after seeing that it was against Vivian, I thought this might be my best case scenario.
Overall, it was, I mean, being a part of it was incredible. Like, I think the entire Final Four and really the entire cast was great. But it was really nice to see that we were pretty well received when we got out. Like, you never really know during a mini how it's going to be received. And I had a feeling that I was like, okay, this is pretty entertaining. But it seems like everybody enjoyed it, which at the end of the day, to me, is most important, is that people enjoyed watching. So
yeah.
And I love that final two. Like I loved every single answer Vivian gave as well. Like I felt like this is such a, I don't know, it was like a nice final two where both of us could just tell our story. It was never about like dragging each other or
we didn't trash each other at all, did we? And that was not it.
It was total respect the whole time. I was only making my points, you were making your points, and we were just giving people the information they needed to vote. And I felt like a 5-2 vote or a 4-3 was perfect. Either way. I felt like if you had won, I was still happy, and I thought you would have deserved it as well.
Yeah, we with the final two, how we played it, I think, Sindri, we played it very respectfully, and we both did ourselves proud there. There was no bitterness, gunning after each other, and it shouldn't be that way. At the end of the day, it is a game, people. It's a game.
I'm thinking of what would happen if it was me and Josh in the final two. How different that final two would have been.
Yeah, I would have also, if I was there with Louie, I would have had more like comments against him than I did against him. Just because I would have.
Can you DM me those? I want to know. DM me all of these.
It would have mostly just been like you had a bigger status going in, you had more relationships going in, and your name was not out there, and you did not have to fight as much. But that's also like a compliment to you. But those would have been my points to like, I had to fight the whole time. I had to, and like, I had to make all those alliances. I had to make all those final two deals to get myself covered because my name was out there. And like, just looking at the list, like before round 5, I already had like 5 final twos and a couple of final threes. Like I had these deals ready very early because also I was so scared of, like, they say that there would be so many like new twists, and there were some twists where we were locked in rooms. Like I thought, especially when the first round was pretty straightforward, I was like, I have to use this time to make as many deals as possible because I might have some rounds where I have like no time to do that. And so yeah, it would have been interesting.
Absolutely. Want to wrap up, but lastly, I want to give everybody a chance to give their final thoughts on the night. Josh, we can start with you.
What was the question? So I got distracted.
Just your final thoughts on everything.
Final thoughts, right. This game so much. So this was my third game Sequester, but this was like my first regular game. So I played a private, and then I played Private Winners of War, which we're going to pretend that never happened because I didn't do all that well. And then playing this game. It was fun. This was a chance for me to get to play with a bunch of people where everyone was a capable player, even the people that were early in the game. Like everyone either coming into the game knew what they were doing, or if you have people like Vivian who didn't come in the game that what they're doing, they picked up what to do and just naturally were good at the game. Everyone was a capable player, and it was really fun playing against people, playing through a lot of these twists. Everything from like when we were locked in that room together, from me voting out Kayla right to the end of the game, just everything that was happening was crazy and intense. I had so much fun playing with this group of people. It was just such an amazing group of players. And I wouldn't sit here and say that if that wasn't true, because I've not said about every game I played, but this genuinely was just an amazing group. So much fun. This Final Four was full of, I was so glad to get to this point with 3 amazing people. And Twitter, I was about to say I'm sorry, but I'm not. But Yeah,
Yeah,
this was so much fun. I'm gonna pass it on because I've got nothing else to say, but this was fun. This was
I feel
amazing.
I feel better about everything now that I've heard the explanation, as I firmly put it on my own shoulders. So now I messed up. So I don't mind it as much anymore. But you know, as soon as it was done, it was done. It's all a game and it's all about competition. So I was completely fine with it. Vivian, what about you?
I thought it was great. I mean, I was a little nervous when there was a couple of angry moments earlier on in the games. I was like, whoa, like, that's not my people getting angry. And there was a couple of moments where I heard people sort of voices were getting raised and I was getting very stressed. And I was like, yeah, it's just a game. You're not gonna, it's not life or death, people, like, calm down. But like you said, I enjoyed it. It was a great mix of people. And I think everybody was genuinely very respectful to everybody else, which I was pleased, because I just kept saying to Alex, people aren't going to trash you, are they, and be mean? He goes, no, you're not allowed to be mean. And I was like, so, I was sort of like very mindful of that. And I thought people were genuinely kind to each other, which they should be. And it was fun. And like you said, I was so pleased to see so many international people and do so well. I mean, woohoo! So that was, yeah, I think that was pretty awesome. And having an international winner, even better. So that was great.
I am curious, would
Yes.
you ever have any interest in playing? Because I feel like you will be asked for All-Stars. If there is an All-Star, I think you have 100% your seat written.
At the minute, that's a one and only special appearance because he begged me. I'm just like, how can I top that, really?
She'll play again.
How can I top that? I can't top that, Like,
Blood
I
versus
just
water.
You'll
Blood
win.
versus water 4.
Yeah.
Gotta happen.
So
She'll play again.
he'd have to do a lot of convincing, a lot of tidying up of his room to do that.
We hope so.
We'll get Audrey to speak to her. And,
there you go.
Yeah.
And then Sindri, we will leave it off with the winner. For your final thoughts.
I love this cast. I love this game. It was so much fun to play. This was the culmination of my 2 other games where, like, in 8-1, I had like a lot of control, but was way too obvious with it and way too aggressive, and was just like snuffed out at 8. But that, like, after playing that game, like, this is like the Sequester community has become my family, like 8-1 and now like more people. Like it's been so much fun just like getting to know everyone and getting like close friends, and especially in a pandemic where you can't fully go outside and can't really meet people, like having these Zoom calls, having these friends that you can talk to is like, that's the real win out of all this. Like, I was fine never winning and I thought I would never win. I played yesterday just for fun. I didn't really play expecting to win. I've never expected to win. I always just go into it wanting to have fun and make sure that I would not regret not having played hard enough. And I feel like the best quality anybody can have in this game is humility. Like, knowing that you're never the finished article. You never know everything or are the perfect player. Like, you can always learn. And I've learned so much watching everybody play recently, watching all my friends play recently, learning different things from all of them. And if I play again, I'm still going to learn from this. I think there are still mistakes I made this game. There are still things where I just got lucky, and there are still things I can learn and do better. And I think just in general, like, placement doesn't matter in this game. It doesn't matter where you place. It's all about people, and just I think the whole community should be more accepted of everyone and let everyone in, because there's so many incredible people that have gone out early or been unlucky that are still like worthy of love and support. And I think all of us could probably do a little bit better in like making the community more inclusive to everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I said after 8-1, I told you right after that, I said you were going to win at some point because you were too good of a player not to. And I didn't think it'd be against me, but it happened. So,
yeah,
it was very, very good to see. I'm very proud of you. And
thank you.
Yeah, it was a great night overall. Well, and that is it. So I will be back in 2 hours, hour and 50 minutes for commentary tonight on tonight's game. That will be a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone in the chat for sticking with us. Thank you to all of you. I will stop this broadcast and immediately make a group chat. But until the next time, everyone, we will see you out there. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.